The following program was made for viewers like you. Not those other mooks. They're a bunch of commie-loving, pimple-headed, Birkenstock-wearing zaraza. But not you. You're beautiful. And special. So hit the like and subscribe buttons in ways that display your greatness and well-cultured tastes. The following program is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fun Program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. Hope your day's been going well. Mine has been productive. I want to just point out in locals, which if you're not in locals, shame on you, but at goodlogic.locals.com, that's goodlogic.locals.com, Neurodivergent shared a link for a movie called Line in the Sand. It's James O'Keefe's newest drop. I actually was invited to attend a premiere. What's supposed to be 2 nights from now? Which I think is for that movie. I think that's James O'Keefe's movie. They just said James O'Keefe is premiering something in my area, and I was invited to join. And then I realized that that's the start of my holiday. So, nope, that's not going to happen. But if you're in the area, you might want to check out, see if you can get some tickets to catch the event. I'm not sure how you get in there. Like I said, there was someone who was just inviting me to join. Not at all like one of those, like, I'll swing by in the unmarked van with tinted windows. And we'll drop those masks on you, like you're in some Korean film being taken to like your eventual death. No, it wasn't at all like that. It was really, I think, as a courtesy. I think it's something I probably would have enjoyed. But yeah, that's the way God wants it to roll. And he's like, no, you're not going to that. So I was like, oh, okay. You know best. So I'm okay with that. Anyhow, it's a good segue for me to point out to you that I will be streaming, obviously tonight. I will be streaming, God willing, tomorrow. But I'm not going to be streaming on Wednesday and Thursday this week, or Wednesday and Thursday next week. So I just wanted to give you that heads up in advance so you can plan accordingly. If you can get to James O'Keefe thing, go for it, because I'm not going to be streaming that night. So I just want to give you all a heads up on that. Without further ado, I want to get into my first story here tonight, which is Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know if you've seen this Doritos thing that she's doing. She was on some show called Liz Plank. I don't know who Liz Plank is, other than the fact that she's some sort of lefty. And when I was watching like their 10-minute interview, I saw like about 90 seconds of it before I started feeling like the spew and the acid coming up in my mouth. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just... Watching people on the left fawn over Gretchen Whitmer. Wow. Like, how do they not see? How do you not see? How do you not see? Not see it. How do you not see it? How do you not see it with Gretchen Whitmer? How do you not see it? Someone tell me. Gretchen Whitmer, how do you not see it? I don't know it. I don't know. I don't know, because that woman's a fascist. Oh my gosh. How do you not see she's a fascist? She's a fascist. How? How do you not see it? She's a tyrant, like just like terrifying, awful, terrible human being who I am convinced is one of the two frontrunners for the Democratic candidacy in 2028. She and Gavin Newsom will be vying it out. That's what we should certainly anticipate as the two frontrunners. If in fact Michelle doesn't come out of her closet, which I don't think she will. I don't think Michelle will come out of her closet, especially if you saw my locals today. I explained to you why I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think she's coming out of the closet. I don't think Michelle's coming out of the closet. That was my prediction. I don't think she's not coming out of the closet. Michelle, you can quote me on that. that Joe said Michelle is not coming out of the closet in 2028. I don't think it's going to happen. Who knows? A lot of things can happen, but I don't see her coming out of the closet in 2028. But I do see Gretchen Whitmer certainly throwing her sparkly hat in the ring, along with Gavin Newsom's even more sparkly hat. This is obviously assuming Trump wins. If Kamala wins, then they'll all have to sit and wait another 4 years. God forbid. God forbid. Sometimes you're not seeing way into the stage. A little too far. Little too far. Amusing. Again, I see what you did there. But, yeah. And Master Phillips hitting him. This is the video, by the way, in case you want to. This is, yeah, for sound effects, I need to share a screen for a second. That's it. Don't look. Master Phillips hitting me with the 5 good Lawgic memberships. God bless you. Who'd you bring on into the fold? JD gifted a membership courtesy of Master Phillips. Robert Pennington, Gilly Claude Louis, Sarah Long, and Rye B, all gifted memberships courtesy of Ginga Recruitment. Master Phillips, welcome to the following. The following is not at all a cult type of cult. Everyone knows this. It's well documented. Some people tried saying it. There was this whole article someone tried writing about how no, it really is a cult. And I had to go on this whole little tour going around saying, no, it's not at all a cult type of cult. And yeah, clear up that confusion. Not that I know why I was called upon that, because I am very much not the leader of the following. I'm I'm a host. I'm Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic, aka your host. That's it. I'm just a host. But it's just for it. Look, if you join the following, all I can say is blessings follow you. So those of you who are gifted, those 5 who I called out, I urge you, please express your gratitude to King of Recruitment, Master Phillips, and thank you so much for your support. You're awesome, brother. All right, let's get on with it. This is the clip. I'm not going to play the audio only because I'm really, really tired of YouTube dinging my videos and saying, oh, no, that's totally copyright protected. Let's make sure no one can see this video for the next 12 hours, because I think that's frustrating. So I'm not going to play the audio. It's just some song. That's the song. That much of I can play. You can sing in your head if that's your thing. But this is the clip. My God. What is happening here? Let's refresh this. She's feeding her a Doritos chip. What am I looking at here? What the hell am I looking at? This is wrong on so many levels. It's very, very, I saw this and I was just like, what is that? The first thought you have is, okay, that's supposed to basically be a recreation of the Eucharist. Anyone can see that. I'm Jewish, okay? I never set foot in church in my life, and I'm telling you right now, I know what that's supposed to be. That's supposed to be a recreation of the Eucharist. But if it's not that, if it's not a recreation of the Eucharist, in that case, the second thought you would have, certainly not meaning no offense to any Christians or Catholics out there, I'll tell you right now, that she's sitting on her knees like that, like a little child being fed by Mama Bear Gretchen. This is like just calling up imagery to like those sick lefties who basically act like puppies and like, walking around on their knees being fed by their masters. This is just so disturbing. That was, to be honest, that was the first thought I had. I was like, it's only because a couple of days ago I saw a video of a couple of Europeans basically walking around with people on leashes, like walking on their knees and, woofing and doing and, scratching themselves with their own legs and doing all sorts of weird, bizarre type of things. And it's like, what is the imagery supposed to be here? I don't know what this is. Is this supposed to be like some sort of furry call? Is this supposed to be some sort of, I don't know, child slavery type of thing that we're seeing here? Because she looks like, she looks like a little kid sitting on her knees here being fed by some strange woman. What the hell is this? Getting like some dog treat? I don't know what's happening here. I was very, very bothered when I saw this. I was just like, that they're trying to like normalize it. This is like a normal thing for like one grown woman to feed another grown woman who's sitting there on her knees like a little kid or a puppy, or I don't even know, or I don't know, maybe it is supposed to be like a call to the Eucharist. Who the heck knows what it's supposed to be? Apparently, that claim that it's like that they were intending to mock the church, that they were like, oh my gosh, we never even thought that people might see it that way. It never even like dawned on us that people might take it that way. So she issues this apology. This is her apology that she gives. Whitmer apologizes for how Dorito video was construed. How is it supposed to be construed? What was the good way of taking it? Governor Gretchen Whitmer, which is like anyone who's named Gretchen, right away there's something very, I don't know. You start with a foot in the hole there. No offense to any of you Gretchens watching. But Gretchen Whitmer apologized for how a recent social media video was construed after Catholic groups said the video appeared to mock the sacrament to the Eucharist. The issue stems from an Instagram video posted Thursday that shows the governor, while wearing a Harris Walz cap, feeding a Dorito to a podcaster in a recreation of a TikTok trend. Is it really, though? Is it really a recreation of a TikTok trend? Because that's what they're trying to claim. This is, we were just doing the amusing TikTok trend. Okay? All right. Well, we'll break that down in a moment. The podcast and author Liz Plank had posted the video to plug an interview between Plank and the governor that was posted to YouTube as a segment of Chip Chat. I guess it's supposed to be a mockery of chit chat, like Chip Chat, right? Eating chips and having a chit chat for Chip Chat or something like that. The Instagram video was shared widely after it was posted, with many criticizing the reel as weird, yeah, very, and others arguing the feeling Chip from Whitmer was standing to Plank, who appears to be sitting on a couch or kneeling, mimicked the reception of communion on the tongue. All right. Michigan Catholic Conference put out a statement on behalf of the state's Catholic bishops Friday to express a profound disappointment and offense with the video. The group's president and CEO, Paul Long, said the group had dialogue with the governor's office on the issue, but that regardless of intent, the video has had an offensive impact. The skit goes further than the viral online trend that's inspired it, specifically imitating the posture and gestures of Catholics receiving the Holy Eucharist, in which we believe that Jesus is truly present, Long said. It's not just distasteful or strange. It's an all too familiar concept of an elected official mocking religious persons and their practices. And to make that point even further, let's check out this video here, because apparently this is a trend. And I just wanted to sort of share with you just like a little montage. Again, they all use the same song that I don't want to play because YouTube is stupid. So they all have song. I'm trying to make sure that I don't have volume. And if you look at all these people being fed here, where there's this weird TikTok trend, I don't even understand the challenge of this trend, that they're being fed by a friend. But none of them are, I don't know if this is supposed to be sexual. I don't know if this is supposed to be, I don't know what this is supposed to be. So I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing. This is so weird. This is the weirdest thing in the world. It's definitely supposed to be sexual, isn't it? I mean, there's no question. This is with the whole tongue out and stuff like that. None of them are kneeling at the foot of the food giver. None of them are on their knees. They're all sitting equal level. Only one on their knees is podcaster woman Gretchen Whitmer standing over her, like the state standing over you, which is, basically, like I said, I don't know how you not see that. TikTok is the home of the weird. This is not even clever, creative. I don't even know what this is. This is the land of people who have nothing to contribute to society. I don't understand anything about this. But as weird as this trend is, to mimic the trend and then do it with her on her knees, looking up at Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this is supposed to be sexual. I don't know if it's supposed to be like some sort of weird weird thing. I don't know if this is like puppies. I don't know what this is. I don't know if literally this could be child slave, weird, sick crap. I have no idea what this is. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys do? What do you make? What was the thought? What was the thought with positioning her? She ain't sitting on no couch there. I don't think she's on no couch. I think she's on her knees. I mean, if she's on a couch, like Gretchen Whitmer is like a freaking giant. She's like, she's hip height for like, her face is at like, hip height for Gretchen Whitmer. I think she's on her knees. But, so this is the apology there. A spokeswoman for Whitmer's political action committee, Fight Like Hell, because I guess fight was already taken by someone who was an actual leader rather than just some cringy, tyrannical, why am I not in power? Why don't I have more power? Person like Gretchen Whitmer dismissed criticism of video, arguing it was a common social media trend. Oh, that's what everyone's doing. It's meant to draw attention to the CHIPS Act. Oh, that's the Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors CHIPS Act was passed into law under President Joe Biden in 2022. Oh, so it's very timely. Very, very timely that you drop this right now, because it's just 2 short years ago that the CHIPS Act was passed. So you can see how, look, it's only 2 years since the CHIPS Act passed. So we should be like, celebrating it now. This is the time to do it. Very obviously, very timely with the CHIPS Act there. Yeah. Governor's social media is well known for infusing her communications with pop culture, Helen Harrow-Ware spokesman said in a statement. This popular trend has amused countless people, including Billie Eilish, Kylie Jenner, and Stephen Colbert. And the fact that people are paying attention to a video promoting President Biden's CHIPS Act. What? And apparently, she apologized. So there you go. I don't know what to make out of these people. I barely caught the last Nazi joke. Oh, there you go. Gretchen, a PDF. Hit the like, people. Yeah, hit the freaking like. Otherwise, Nathan's going to make me turn on y'all. I don't want to turn on y'all. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. All those other good buttons. Forgive me mentioning another stream, but Crowdsource the Truth interviewed the exchange student victim of Walz today. Did they? I've gotten a lot of flack. More flack than usual. For even breathing as much life into that story as I did yesterday when I was like, I don't know if this is true or not. And apparently that much discussion of it with the breakdown of the different evidence that was promoted was considered, oh my God, Joe, why are you slinging this trash at us? Why these crazy, ridiculous, crazy perspectives? And I'm going to tell you this. I watched Viva Fry do a video about this story, referencing the Tim Walz scandal, where the allegations of scandalous conduct by Tim Walz, and trying to vet the veracity thereof. And I'm going to tell you this. I still don't know if it's true. I don't know that it's false. I don't know anything more than any of you do. He raised some interesting points with respect to the email and the formatting of the email, with respect to it says the PM, and is there a zero in front of the digits? Is there not a zero in front of the digit? And those are interesting challenges. Those should be red flags, properly so. The other thing I would say is this. I'm continually talking with you about how we're so lost because no one wants to give us the truth. Nobody wants to tell us the truth on anything. So we're continually trying to figure out what's true, what's not, because we know the media is going to lie to us all the time. And I never want to mislead any of you. If I'm sharing with you my perspective on things, it's because this is what I understand to be truth at the time of sharing it. And if I'm speculating, I'll usually try to remind you that I'm speculating and saying these are the facts that lead me to this conclusion. With that in mind, I agree with something Vivas. I agree very strongly with something Vivas said in his video earlier today, which is the bigger the claim, the more outlandish the claim, the more evidence you need before you can jump on board as far as saying it's true. And that is 100% true. The more significant the claim, the more outlandish, the more evidence you need to document that claim before you should accept it as like being likely true. Because there are a lot of people who are going to just try and start a hoax for attention, or it's for, to false flag you and make you look stupid. Especially if you're in my position of actually, talking to large numbers of people. People are looking to convince me of fiction being fact. So I have to be mindful of that. That's why I try and be careful before I ever say, "Oh my God, this happened." And I don't know if I expressed that enough concern yesterday. So to the extent I didn't express enough concern about the veracity of that story, I apologize for that. And I'll tell you right now, I still don't know. At this point, from what I've seen so far, the evidence is insufficient. Now, I haven't gone through the drops that Black Insurrectionists dropped today. I haven't gone through it. I certainly haven't seen this crowdsource the truth interview of the exchange student victim of Walz. I definitely not seen that, but I'm going to try and check that out. And we'll see how credible that looks. I'll try and check that out. Thank you. Sunwoo Kong, YouTube won't let me say what I want. It is evil. What you want to say is evil, or YouTube? It's probably YouTube's evil. Meant to show her as a dominatrix. That's what I think it is. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Every time I see her, she's dressed in like tight black clothing. Like she's, like, how do you not see she's a tyrant? To my friends, my husband is having a biopsy in the morning. Oh, wow. To find a cause of pain and lesions. Prayers and positive thoughts greatly appreciated. Freedom forever. Prayers indeed for your husband to have positive, encouraging results. Positive in this context, obviously. Obviously, you're looking for anyone would be scared. So let's go, Brandon. Joe, if you weren't so old, LW, the next video feeds what she really wants into her mouth. You need to swipe left. Well, I guess I'm glad I'm old. It's not challenged. They're just challenged. Yeah. Gretchen is preparing for a future career on maybe. These are all better explanations than what I can come up with. Much better. We are on maybe. And Bob Loves Alaska says, will you be covering the letter from Fani Willis demanding Nathan Wade not answer questions at his deposition tomorrow before the Judiciary Committee? It was sent to Jim Jordan. Holy moly. Wait a second. Wait a freaking second. Nathan Wade's appearing tomorrow? Give me a second. Now I gotta cover that. I gotta cover that. Hold on a second. Is that being publicly aired? It's closed door session. That happened in the House Judiciary Committee.
Happening tomorrow, former Fulton County prosecutor Nathan Wade is set to testify before a House Judiciary Committee. It comes as a U.S. House panel investigates Wade's relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis. The testimony will be a closed-door session. In September, the committee struggled to find Wade leading up to a subpoena saga. U.S. Marshals then were asked to step in and serve him. The Judiciary Committee is seeking testimony and documents from both Willis and Wade relating to the ongoing Fulton County election interference case. Happening tomorrow, former Fulton County.
Wow. I don't like that. It's closed door session. Why does that have to be closed door session? Let me find this letter. How long a letter is it? Fani Willis. Letter to Congress. I don't see anything in the last. Oh, here it is. All right, you got my attention. You got my attention, Barb. You got my attention. Fulton County District Attorney Office, District Attorney Fani Willis declined to provide House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan with any additional information about her investigation of former President Donald Trump and his allies, as well as any interactions with the Justice Department, according to a new letter obtained by CNN. Oh, we're totally going through that letter. I have to do that. How long is this letter? Oh, it's only a page and a half. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. Oh, good. We got her number. No one should call her, by the way. Okay. Dear Mr. Jordan, I am in receipt of your letter dated September 27, 2023. A charitable explanation of your correspondence is that you are ignorant of the United States and Georgia constitutions and codes. A more troubling explanation is that you are abusing your authority as chairman of the Committee on the Judiciary to attempt to obstruct and interfere with the Georgia criminal prosecution, COCGA 16-10-24. Indeed, you confessed to this motivation on Mark 11, September 10th, 2023 show. When discussing one of my office's active prosecutions, you boasted, we're trying to get all the answers, but we're trying to stop this stuff as well. Okay. What stuff is he trying to stop? Like corruption? Trying to stop corruption? Because that seems to be part of his job. While you may enjoy immunity under the United States Constitution speech debate clause, that does not make your behavior any less offensive to the rule of law. Well, that depends. It's certainly not as offensive as your forensic misconduct that was cited in Judge McAfee's decision. As the person chosen by citizens of Fulton County to be their district attorney, I serve them, and my team and I are exceptionally busy. We have already written a letter, which I have attached again for your reference, explaining why the legal positions you advance are meritless. Nothing you said in your latest letter changes that fact. As I've explained, your request implicates significant, well-recognized confidentiality interests related to an ongoing criminal confidentiality interests, as well as serious constitutional concerns regarding federalism and separation of powers. Separation of powers are that you should not be prosecuting a president for activity taken while sitting as president. Maybe that's separation of powers you should be considering, District Attorney Fani Willis. To the extent that you have specific questions about the DOJ's communications, we refer to the Department of Justice. To the extent that you have specific questions about our use of federal funds, we have already provided with extensive information, and further information can be found here. Justice Government grants. My attached prior letter provided you with 4 noble suggested uses of your authority as chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. 1, enhancing funding for victim witness advocates. 2, expanding funding for testing all rape kits. 3, supporting the Credible Messengers program. What about the money you wasted on buying swag for your office, which helps turn around children and children with the criminal justice system, and 4, ensuring adequate funding to support state crime labs, which test for drugs like fentanyl? I would encourage you to focus your attention on those issues, which will make life better for the American people. Yeah, for the day you know what will make life better for the American people. you literally need a brain transplant before you would know what would make life better for the American people. Your brain has been so poisoned with ridiculous perspectives that you don't have the first clue nor the inclination to actually concern yourself with what's in the best interest of American people, because everything you've done so far with your political career seems purposefully designed to simply advance your own political career rather than benefit the people who you're purporting to serve. Was that the right letter, Barb, or was there a different letter I was supposed to be looking for? Because I didn't see talk there about Nathan Wade. Was there another letter? Oh, here's the letter you wanted. Oh, Lord. She's always writing.
You found out was just making stuff up. You'd at least give him a talking to. Are you sure it wasn't putting in charge of anything? So,
that wasn't what I wanted to happen.
I didn't mean it.
One moment. Sorry about that. Not sure how that happened. Current letter is dated, you're saying September 16th, but this is dated October 11th. This is not it. This is what you showed. This is also dated October 11th. What you shared with me is also dated October 11th. Yeah, I don't want, this is too long for me to go through now. Although I will just say the final paragraph here. To that end, Mr. Wade has been instructed to not answer any question about his role in the election interference case or about any evidence in that case. Mr. Wade has been informed of in the election interference case about his role in the election interference case or about any evidence in that case. Mr. Wade has been informed of his obligation to assert FCDA privileges and to safeguard the integrity of ongoing criminal prosecutions. Really, it's not properly safeguarded? It's not properly safeguarded if Congress has that information? That's fascinating. As long as I'm district attorney, I will continue to do everything in my power to protect the integrity of this criminal investigation, all others in which my office leads. My legal duty to protect the secrecy and integrity of all criminal investigations has been bestowed upon me by federal, state, and local law. That ain't true. There ain't no federal law which gave you any power at all. And I have no interest in waiving this responsibility for your politically motivated tactics. She's scared. She's scared. She's scared. She's scared. All right. All right. All right. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all. Y'all too good to me. I pay attention, Viola. Everyone's always hating on me. I pay attention, Viola. Let me get cracking. In case you missed it, in case you're not one of the 4 million people who caught the interview that Donald Trump made an appearance on Flagrant. I watched the first 15 minutes of this and I was like, this might be the best interview I've ever seen. This is unbelievable. He looks so good. The interview questions are so well done. It's so conversational and comfortable. It's almost like you feel like you're eavesdropping on him hanging out with people that he likes talking to. That's how naturally this comes across. He looks like such a typical normal guy, like the kind of guy you'd like to just, grab a beer with, just sit back and relax and enjoy talking. And honestly, I just want to watch it. I just want to see it. I want to see every bit of it. I don't know if I'm going to watch all of it. I don't know if we're going to make it all the way through. Depends how long it depends because this is a long interview. It's an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half. But we're going to get through massive portions of it. I'm obviously going to be pausing to weigh in with my thoughts about things that are like good questions, good answers, and other things that make this interview uniquely special. But before I do that, I want to share this with you. I want to share this with you first. This is Charlemagne the God with Andrew Schultz, who's the host of Flagrant.
Black man, 20-something black man, 20-something years old. I'm not going to say his name. I should say his name. He comes to me this morning. He turns to me. He goes, Flagrant's going to get Trump elected. You would know who I'm talking about. You were there?
No, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
He goes, bro, Flagrant's going to get Trump
The
elected.
interview was fire, bro. The interview, and listen, the interview was fire. I don't know what to tell you.
So Alan, black man,
So there you go.
20-something years old.
There you go. Interview's fire. And we're about to watch it right now. Let's get started. Andrew Schultz is Flagrant with Akash Singh. Let's do it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Flagrant. And today, this is the first time that we've been able to say is we are sitting down with Mr. President.
Woo.
Mr. President, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, man. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Yeah, this is awesome. We have a bunch of questions. We're very, very grateful for your time.
Okay.
I just became a dad. My
Oh.
buddy over there just became a dad, Mark.
Yep.
That's
And
good.
okay, so here's first question.
Great.
You have these children that are seemingly well-adjusted, successful, and I think most importantly, they appear to like you.
Yeah.
Okay,
They better.
I grew up in
Which, by the way, a good question starts with an astute observation. It's not just some bland, out of nowhere thing. It's like they're making an observation that's an uncommon element. That kids who like their dad, which unfortunately is all too rare today.
I grew up in the city, and there's a lot of people who had like very wealthy parents, and like the kids kind of resent them. And I was like waiting for them to like die, and they end up in like rehabs
Doing
and
drugs,
drugs.
And he is a very well-established comedian, Andrew Schultz. I'm kind of nervous that I'm going to get dinged on watching this with you because well-established comedians seem to be very territorial about anyone sharing their content. And that may happen. I'm hopeful that he's sufficiently libertarian that won't happen. But he's a very well-established comedian, Andrew Schultz, if you're unfamiliar with him. And by and large, good comedians develop their sense of humor by having healthy and innovative observation skills. If you're seeking to develop your comedic skills, that's a great attribute to have. You see things, observe them, and sort of apply your brain towards thinking about towards noticing things, that which is common and that which is more unusual.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
How do you raise them in the public eye where they, still
Yeah.
become ambitious and successful?
So I do have good kids and 5 really wonderful children and different, very different. Yeah, they are so different.
The Yankees win. Thank you so much. Trump's comment on nuclear disarmament deal, probably one of the best parts of this interview that is very underplayed. Oh, hopefully we'll get there. Harris today said they're hiding Trump. Can you imagine how she'd do on Flagrant? Seriously. What a disaster. What, you all remember Hillary appearing on Charlemagne? They're like, so what do you carry in your purse? Hot sauce. No, it's true. I do. I didn't even know that was a black thing until like she said it. Like, who the hell would come up with hot sauce? God. Yeah. They try so hard to seem like normal folk, and he just is normal folk. And that's what becomes readily apparent during the course of this conversation.
But, you know, one thing that was in common that I did, I always used to say when I was with them or when they were leaving a room, I would drive them crazy. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. I would say that.
Did you say that to Don Jr.?
Yeah, Don's a little wild. He's a wild. He can be a little tough.
He told me a funny story.
Go ahead.
Okay. I talked to a bunch of people. I was trying to, prepare for this
Right,
interview.
right.
He told me a funny story. And he said to me, he goes, once he asked if he could have a couple of his friends over for New Year's. Was it New Year? No, it was July 4th.
Right.
On top of Trump Tower.
Right.
And you said yes. He's like, I want 5 friends. You're like, okay, I'm out of town. Go for it. He brings 200 people over to Trump Tower. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. He says that you weren't supposed to be there. You end up showing up. You hear some noise upstairs. You come up. You go, what the fuck is everybody doing here? Get the hell out of my house. He said he cleaned for the next 36 hours. And he said, to this day, you have never brought up that it even happened. And he said, I'm starting to believe it might not have happened.
Yeah.
So
He said that's
can
all
you
it
give
happened.
him- can you give him closure?
No, it happened. No, I can never give closure. You can never forget. A lot of people like to forget things. You can't know.
But that's a remarkable thing that he never brought it up to him again. He never like threw it in his face. That's healthy parenting. That I'm not going to have this dangling over your head. Especially when a child shows contrition. Where you say he was cleaning up for 36 hours. So they show contrition. It's like you sort of have to, that's a very healthy perspective on parenting. Is that the point to healthy parenting is to make it clear it's never about you asserting your will. It's never about like, it's not you versus them. It's a matter of looking for them to actually learn from their mistakes and then grow from them and not repeat them. Which is why, if a kid seems genuinely contrite for, taking the car or something like that, and they know that you're cognizant of it, and you don't have to keep bashing into them. That time you took the car, I can't believe the time you took the vet, But instead, you just sort of be like, all right, you know what happened. I know what happened. And you know how it upset me. And he's like, genuinely apologetic about it. You're just sort of like, all right, let's go on. Let's move forward. It's a very healthy parenting perspective, in my opinion. Hunter, take some notes. Yeah, seriously.
He's a good guy. And, he's taken a lot because he was always a good student. He went to the Wharton School of Finance, which is great, and he did well. But he went into the world of politics not because he wanted to, but because I was there, and I sort of automatically you drag the family in. Mm-hmm. And this guy, what he had to go through with Russia. Dad, they're asking me questions about Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. What's going on? And all of a sudden, he's in front of grand juries. He's in front of Congress. Yeah. It was a hoax. It was a total hoax. Yeah. This was a made-up hoax by crazy Nancy Pelosi and these, the maniacs. Yeah. Hillary Clinton, who's totally nuts. Yeah. And this went on for 2 years. And he said, Dad, I know nothing about this stuff. And you go before the grand jury, and Comey, you have Comey, who's the worst, just a bad guy. But he went through a lot, and it actually made him tougher. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's a tough cookie, that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it made, in his case, it made him tougher. Ivanka did a great job. She didn't want anything. All she wanted to do was get people jobs. I would have made her the ambassador to the UN. I wanted to do that. I think she would have been incredible, the whole aura. She would have been great, but she didn't want that. She didn't, and that would have been a very glamorous position. Yeah. She would have been great there. All she did is go to see companies and hire people. She wanted, and she hired, I think it was like 10 million people, some incredible amount of people. She'd go to Walmart, she'd go to Exxon, she'd go to these big companies and see if she could get groups of people hired. Yeah. And she loved doing it. It was great. And there was no glamour, there was no anything, but she got people jobs. That made her.
So how do you instill the ambition in the kids? I think a lot of kids that grow up with wealth, they kind of are lazy and they feel like they have no direction in life. And a lot of times they turn to like drugs and other shit. How do you instill the ambition?
Well, I've seen a lot of
this is where hunters take notes.
The kids are.
I guess Joe Biden should take notes.
Mostly don't work out too well. Some don't turn out to be bad kids, but they end up hating the father, or the father maybe wanted him.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've thought about doing that more. I thought about doing it more. I'll pick my spots depending on like where, depending on like, you know, if it's timely during something that I'm watching like this. But I've thought about doing it more overtly and more frequently. Maybe I should do that. It feels like a locals thing to do. It feels like the only reason I don't do it more is because if I start feeling preachy, it's like if someone isn't asking you to talk about something and you just start talking to them about it, it's almost like, who the hell are you to like drop that on me? But I guess in this, given the nature of what it is that I do, it's not a bad thing to offer up to people. It's an interesting idea.
I'm in business. I mean, I have one father that's very competitive with his son. He's if the son were more successful than him,
he would hate it.
He would be unhappy. I said, "Are you crazy? It's supposed to be the other way around."
That's awesome.
My father was so proud of me. He was a successful guy. But my father wanted me to be more successful. I mean, he was so proud of all the things. I wish he could have seen what happened. Because we did things. But
and it's a common thing, especially with when you have a father-son relationship. It's a common thing, like when they're first growing up and they're, you know, little kids and becoming teenagers, that there's sort of a playful element to competitiveness between father and son. The same way that there may be between siblings, even parent to child. And in a healthy way, that can be great. It can be really great. It can be like a bonding type of thing. But the only way it's healthy is if the father is able to be a good sport about, not first and foremost, not crushing the kid if the kid's small and stuff like that, and you're able to crush them. And the other thing is it should be purposefully designed in the back of your head as a parent. You have to be thinking to yourself, like, the objective here is for them to enjoy themselves, A, first and foremost, and B, like, inspire them towards being greater than what they were yesterday. And not that, and if they're successful in that regard and can surpass you, to not feel resentful of that, just to be genuinely proud of them. Because ultimately, kids want you to be proud of them. And that helps spur them on towards greater heights. And that's what being a good parent is.
He was, you know, he's just a proud father.
What do you think?
And I think most fathers are that way. I hope that. But I've known many fathers that are very successful that didn't want that broke up over their son's success. If, you know, in the few cases where the son was more successful, which was very seldom, actually. You know, it's very seldom. You take people like in sports, because in sports you see it, because it's a microcosm of life, but it's quicker.
I'll tell you, I understand exactly what you're saying and thinking and feeling. I get it totally, because I happen to be by nature very competitive. I understand what you're saying. You sort of need to learn. You have to sort of kick yourself internally, and like sort of like punch yourself and say, like, all right, get that part out of you. Like, grow up, deal with it. Yeah, that's not what you do. That's not what you do. Being on the same team is a good strategy also in general. You don't always have sports like that, things like that, but yeah, being on the same team is good too.
And you'll take like the greatest golfers and they'll have a son and he'll be really good as a young, but they never supersede, almost, I can't think of any, they never supersede the father in terms of success. And in sports generally, baseball, you can go to a lot of different sports. And it really is a sort of a microcosm of life. But with life, it takes a lot longer to find out the end result.
To fruition.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you
see what I was saying when I was talking about how he's so much better at conversation than he is at rallies. He's much more entertaining. It's much more unique type of topics, especially with a good interviewer. You get to see so much more of him rather than just the same old thing. I wish he would do this more and more.
we said you're a great father up top. First thing you say is, I've got great kids. You didn't take credit. And then your entire answer, and I thought this was really cool. Your entire answer is about how great your kids are. That was a very cool thing.
Thank you. That's very nice. I think I like this interview. I think,
That's genuine.
I think it's right. And by the way, congratulations. I hear your show is like is crazy monster success.
We're doing pretty good. We're very we're interviewing presidents.
It's really good. And right in the middle of a campaign with only 29 days to go.
Yeah.
And you're taking up time.
Just to talk about
Yeah, they're doing him a favor. It ends up being really mutually beneficial because, I mean, let's face it, 4 million views. 4 million views. That's 10 times anything's going to happen in any rally. 4 million people watching this thing. That's amazing. That is amazing. This is like better PR than you can't buy PR like that. 4 million views. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we're just complimenting.
You know what it is? It's a different world out there. You guys and some others.
Yeah.
We had the standard television stuff for many years, and that's still. I think it's underrated now. I think it's still very important. But but there's a whole new thing. Elon interviewed me on something.
Yeah.
And I think they said 275 million hits or listeners.
That's a lot of people.
That was a
That's a nation. Yeah.
But it's a whole new, different way of
Can I ask you a question
getting the word out, right?
About Elon specifically? Is he your favorite African American?
He's a piece of work. Okay. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's obviously a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw the rocket engines come back, I said, what is that? Like a couple of years ago, you've never seen rockets go up and then they crash into the water.
Yeah.
And I see the engines are coming back and they're landing.
It's unbelievable.
They're landing and they land on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a little dot and they land right on the top of the spot.
And my wife can't parallel park.
I know. It's most people can't. But no, he's great. But he's got a great heart. He was with me, as you know, on the other night.
Yeah.
And we were honoring a man who got killed at a rally, Corey, firefighter, great guy. And it was a beautiful evening. But Elon went out and he loved the crowd. He loves the country.
Yeah.
And he's picked a side. A lot of people don't want to pick a side. I have a lot of people that are big supporters of me.
Yeah.
But they won't go all out.
This is a very good question. Is Joe covering the Brett Baier interview with Kamala on Wednesday? Don't you think I would love to cover that? Do you know what's happening Wednesday night? I got invited to a premiere to meet James O'Keefe at his premiere. And I got the Brett Baier interview with Kamala Harris, both of which I am a no-show. I do expect to watch the interview between Brett Baier interviewing Kamala, but I can't watch that till Saturday night, the earliest, because it's happening Wednesday night, and I got the holiday of Sukkot, which is going to take up Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. So that interview, by the time I get to it, it's going to be 3 days old. That doesn't decide. I'm going to have to sort of decide, do I cover it? Do I not cover it? Do I just watch it individually? Do I cover it? Because 3 days later, it's practically old news. But she is being interviewed by Brett Baier from Fox News. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm certainly not going to be live streaming it because it is during Jewish holiday. And much like I don't work on a Sabbath, I don't work on Jewish holidays. So I will not be live streaming that.
They can't.
They're scared.
Quite,
There's a cost.
There's a cost.
Yeah.
There is a cost, but there's also.
Just to be clear, not just not working. Like I won't be watching it. The first I'll see it would be Saturday night. So, yeah, there's that.
So a liability. I mean, some people, I respect it a lot when this guy was up there doing jumping jacks. You got to vote for Trump. You got to vote.
He was jumping high.
Yeah. He was jumping high.
Looked quite African.
When he jumped, he's in good shape. I'm looking at his waist. I'm saying, wait a minute, does he work out or something? But he had a great time. And he's not out that much. He's probably
No.
maybe a little. Would you say he's a little reclusive,
Yeah.
possibly?
That is really funny. It's not pronounced Baier. It's pronounced Bear. It's pronounced Bear. Only a Jew pronounced name Baier. It should be Baier. Baier. It's spelled Baier. Why would it be pronounced Bear? That's just great. That's really great. Oh my god, that was really funny. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's also busy. He's got
He
like
had
5
the-
different
he's very
companies.
busy and maybe a little reclusive.
Yeah.
But he had the greatest time. He was saying, "Look at these people.
Yeah.
We had 100,000, more than 100,000 people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a record. It was nobody's ever seen, and it was really, it was a celebration of a life, and it was really a
Thank
MAGA.
God,
It was a
brother, you
MAGA
too.
deal,
Yeah.
and he was a big MAGA person. His family was there, and
Very
2
thoughtful.
other people that were very badly hurt were also celebrated. They
Yeah.
were very badly hurt. They weren't actually expected to live,
Yeah.
and they lived, and they had incredible doctors.
Yeah, I
Some of
agree
those-
with you. Brett is the most milquetoast, the most milquetoast possible host. He's practically as bad as that Wallace guy. He's practically as bad as that. He was one of the first people from Fox to jump on board with like, well, Biden won the election. It's November 9th and Biden won the election. Let's call this. Let's call Georgia for Biden. It's like no one else called. Why are you the first one to call it, Brett Baier? Brett Baier? Why? Why are you the first one? So yeah, he was definitely the one who was chosen because he's the closest white guy from Fox. He's the closest white dude for Harris. He's the closest one. He's proudly trumpeting that, like, oh, I'm not giving her the questions. She's not getting the only one who can know the questions is me. All right. We'll see how those questions are. We'll see how they are. Because if he's not drilling her about like, what the heck are you even thinking? Why is it that you can't answer questions like with any sort of straightforwardness? How many times are you going to claim to be that you're the child of some middle-class parents and all this other nonsense about the disastrous border policies, the ridiculous economy, and how stupid price gouging is, and every other stupid policy that she's lifting from Trump? Yeah, if he's not answering those questions, then basically this is Fox News bending over to help Kamala. That's what it is, because this is expected to be, her run through the ringer. And if he doesn't actually run her through the ringer, that's it. All it's doing is serving her interests. And it's not too hard to run her through the ringer. You just need to ask her questions, listen to her answers, and then point out how she's not actually answering them. So we can chip in for a golem. I'll turn on the live stream. Oh, golem. And you set up a stream to interview. No need for you to touch it. It's not a matter of touching it. I can't talk into a mic. I can't, and I wouldn't. But there are workarounds that some people try and find for this sort of thing. I'm not. That's not me. I love respect. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. There's an exemption for holidays. Less than 30 days from the election. I'm not familiar with that one. I knew when I was looking at the schedule for like the holidays, and I was like, oh wow, that's like really leading right up to the election. Like right up to the election. I was like, oh my gosh. I got Wednesday, Thursday for Rosh Hashanah, Wednesday, Thursday for Sukkot. Then the last day is Sukkot next week. I haven't told you that yet. Next week, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm off again. So, but like I said, I'm a very firm believer that the reason God set the calendar up this way was if for no other reason, he would have set this up just so that I would not be working on those days. It's not like, oh, God didn't realize that this was going to happen. No. The reason this came out this way is so that I would not be working on those days. So, covered on Saturday, I don't mind. I'll listen to it sleep. All right, maybe I will. Maybe I'll take a poll on that. I voted early Trump. There you go. I officially endorsed him yesterday. I was torn. I was very, very torn. Kamala, Trump, and I came out yesterday. I came out and I gave my official endorsement to this gentleman here. I'm not regretting it for even a second, even though I realized afterwards that was based on the fact that Michael Moore was telling me to support him. So, you know, and that was 8 years old. So, but still, I'm still not regretting it. I'm still not regretting it. Just have a hot mic live in your business. These are all interesting ideas that are not almost definitely, but definitely not.
Country doctors are better than the big doctors that we spend a lot of money on, and they don't do as good. I will tell you right now. I don't want to knock anybody, but those country doctors saved 2 people, because I was told that 3 would. No, think of that. 3 would be in trouble, and 3 were going to. Now Corey immediately, but the other 2 were so bad that they thought they wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
And those country doctors, they pulled them together. They did a great job.
Okay, so you're going back into this place where, you know, there was this assassination attempt. They hit you, headshot.
Yeah.
You survive.
Yeah. It was not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Better,
scared?
by the way.
No, I'm not scared. You know, I have an attitude. It's interesting. It's sort of, it is what it is. Does that make any sense to you guys? You know, you do what you have to do. I felt it was important to go back. A lot of people, I guess, agreed with me, because it was over 100. I think they said 108,000 people in the end. That's a lot of people.
Super Bowl.
And I had no guitar. You know, if you have a guitar, it's easy. When you don't have a
I
guitar.
thought you said Qatar.
Yeah,
I have guitar. I do have that. They like me very much. But I don't have a
They love me.
guitar.
Yeah, you have the
Right?
guitar. Yeah.
So anyway, but that was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, no, I like it when somebody like Elon, who
Thank you, Ellie Font. I appreciate that. I did come out in support of Trump.
has a lot to lose, is willing to do what's right.
Yeah.
Some people know it's right to do, and I'm not just talking about endorsements and all, but they don't want to do things because they're
they don't want it to cost them opportunities.
The word
in the
is
future.
they want to be politically correct, and actually they're doing
They're cowards. That's what it is. They're cowards. There's no other way to say it. They're freaking cowards, or they don't have sufficient integrity, like their dedication towards their fame, wallet / bank account, or other affections on a more personal level dominates over their patriotism.
a bad thing, I think, for themselves and for a lot of people they may represent.
Okay, opening line when you walk out there.
So, right.
I mean,
I was wondering what you were going to say, and as a comedian, you can seize the moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Did you see the opening line that he made when he went to the Butler rally? The opening line he had there was killer, like genius, freaking genius. Even people on the left were like, "That's pretty good. That's pretty good." He's going to share it right now.
And
he was a hell of a comedian, by the way.
I appreciate
That's
that.
what the word is.
So I hear you go, I see the video and you go up there and you go, as I was saying.
Right.
Crowd goes fucking berserk or what?
They went, I would say, crazy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
Biggest
sure.
pop you've experienced?
Yeah, I'll tell you how, you have this as a comedian, or even not as a comedian, just when you make a speech or you make some very serious statement.
Yeah.
So we're at a very serious and somber thing
Event,
because we're celebrating a life that is no longer with us. And I wasn't sure whether or not that thing, I had it in my mind for a long time. Once I said I'm going back, which I wanted to go back immediately, I wanted to actually finish.
This is when he first took the stage in Butler, for his return to Butler.
Lee, thank you very much, really. And thank you, a very big thank you to Pennsylvania. We love Pennsylvania. And as I was saying,
That's great. That's so genius.
oh, I love that. I love that chart. I love that graph. Tonight I return to Butler, and
That was so great. So great. As I was saying, like I was like just barely, I was briefly interrupted. I was in the middle of talking about the chart. Let's look at the chart. I was in the middle of saying, I didn't get to finish. So good.
My speech, okay? When I got up, I said, let me finish my speech. But I'm surrounded by like 8 very large, strong men and a very wonderful woman. You saw that.
Yeah.
But I'm surrounded by guys. They said, sir, no way, go. And I have blood pouring down, but I really wanted to finish my speech. I said, I think I had like 50,000. I had a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I went down, it was sort of like embarrassed. I said, I went down in front of all these people. You know, that was my first thing. I don't want to be embarrassed.
You were embarrassed. You went down after being shot.
Of course. Well, you weren't exactly sure what the hell was happening at first, you know.
Yeah. But also, you came back up with a fist raise. That's one of the hardest pictures.
But I was.
It's an interesting thing that he's saying here that he was embarrassed when he went down. Whenever you're in a moment of crisis, you always question because you recognize that you sort of have your internal reaction, and then they're like, how is this going to be perceived? I've talked a couple of times about how, like, when 9/11 was happening, I was on a bus to New York City, and I was on my way to handle a deposition in the city. And the bus pulled over, and I could have tried getting on a subway to continue on into the city. I was living in Queens, and I was on an express bus, and they pulled over and they said, we're not going in. If you want to go into the city, you're going to have to take the subway. And I called in, and the deposition had been postponed several times. And this was like marked final for that day. So like missing it was like a big deal. And my adversary was already there in the city. And he's like, I just want to go on record here. You're canceling. And I was like, sort of like questioning, am I doing the right thing here? Is this the right call? Is this the right call? And it's easy to say after the fact. After the fact, this is before the towers came down. This was after the planes hit. It's easy to say after the fact. They're like, yeah, obviously it's 9/11. Why the heck would you be going into the city? But in the moment, you're sort of like hazy. Like, wait, am I making the right call here? Am I handling this situation properly? So I totally get, not that it's remotely the same as being shot at, but I totally get that he recognizes he's on a stage here. He's ducking down and, you know, cowering behind, and that could be deemed to be cowardice, even though ironically it's because his reaction in that moment is now viewed as legendary, and properly so. But what I'm saying is that in the moment you're questioning your, like, whether you're making the right call and how you're handling the crisis. So I totally get what you're saying.
Also,
did you hear them say he's down, or were you just
so when I got hit, I assume that it's funny.
Is it?
When I was down there, it is sort of strange. I guess now it's a little bit, we can smile a little bit, but not really, because the 3 guys, 1 killed, two very badly. But when I went down, I had total realization. It wasn't a surreal. You know, they talked about a surreal. That could be a surreal experience. Like when something happens, some traumatic thing happens, people they lose focus. They have no idea where they are. You know, I've heard many people where that happens. Something really terrible happens that. It was just the opposite. I knew exactly what had happened. I got shot in the ear, and Secret Service thought I may have been shot. Actually, they were pretty sure that I was shot all over because there was a lot of blood. Just a little fact, if you get shot in the ear, it's the bloodiest place. It bleeds more than anything else.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's good to be shot this way, not that way. That way, that's bad. So if I don't turn, I would be doing this right now, guaranteed.
Guys, I got some stand-up shows coming up for the Life Tour. These are the remaining shows of the Life Tour. This weekend we'll be in Minneapolis and
okay. We're gonna move along. That saves me a little time here from the show.
Actually, he's a great shooter. So is Eric. They're great shooters. They're like better than Scratch. Okay.
Yeah.
And they say it's amazing because it was 130 yards. To me, that sounds like far away, but it's not. For shooting, it's not. He said that would be like sinking a 1-foot putt for just a decent shooter.
Wow.
And I don't know if you guys are shooters, but they said if you're a shooter, it's almost impossible to miss. It's that close. It's really considered that close. I mean, 300, 400, 500 yards is very doable, but this is supposed to be very close. And so he said, I think Don became more religious, actually, you want to know the truth. It had a big impact. He said, it's impossible. The doctor, actually, when I got to the hospital, they were fantastic, Butler Hospital. I get there, and the doctor greeted me, and he looked at me and looked it over. He said,
I'm going to say this, Nurse Weezer. I'm going to say this. If you trust Fox to, like, you know, actually do this in good faith, and that they're going to, you know, really do hard-hitting interview here, you learned nothing from 2020. You learned nothing from the way they handled Tucker Carlson. You learned nothing about how deep the Uniparty runs. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust them at all. My starting point is an assumption that this is designed to bolster Kamala's sagging numbers. And her numbers are sagging. If you're not following the polling, she's trailing in 6 out of the 7 battleground states. I think maybe 7 out of 8 battleground states, because last time North Carolina was not a battleground state. Now they're calling it a battleground state. She's trailing in the polls in 7 out of 8. Normally, when we say she's trailing, we say compared to the 10-point lead that Biden has, she has only a 2-point lead. Now she's literally trailing that, you know, if you're counting a 3-point lead that should be built into it, she's actually way behind, because she's like between half a point and a point behind in every battleground state. So her numbers are dreadful. And now here comes along Brett Baier with milquetoast Brett Baier, who's calling elections for Biden, calling states for Biden in 2020 before anyone else is, and calling and going on with Brett Baier, who's going to give her a hard-hitting interview. I'm very, very suspicious. I hope I'm proven wrong. But this is not a difficult interview to just hoist her on one petard after another, throw her words back in her face. You changed on fracking this way, then you changed on fracking that way. Then you say you didn't change your values. What the hell happened that made you change from being anti-fracking, not fracking? The answer she's given to that is this generic, like, well, as vice president, I've been around the country a lot. That's a lie. That's a ridiculously obvious lie, because you want to know something? Vice presidents, especially if they're not campaigning for president, which she never was, if they're not going around the country. So she wasn't meeting people. That's not the job. That's not the duty. That's not the function of vice president. So it's not that you went around meeting people. And even if you had gone around meeting people, in that case, you should be able to express, oh, okay, what did they say to convince you? What happened there? Like, what made you change your position? You were very strongly anti-fracking before. You were all for universal health care before. All of a sudden, you're not all for universal health care anymore. What happened there? Why are you doing a complete 180 all of a sudden? They were supposed to believe that this is the brand new Kamala. So there's a lot of things that you can hit her on. You can hit her on the borders are. You can hit her on the fact that, you know, she was sitting there saying that she was trumpeting for BLM and trying to get people out of jail for BLM riots. And then she's sitting there screaming that anyone who's engaging in any sort of petitioning when it comes to elections should be thrown in jail forever. How she's gone around basically saying how he's inciting stuff after she literally was trying to get people out of jail. There's like 1,000 different ways to deconstruct all of the ridiculously obvious, transparent lies that she's been throwing at the public. And her stupid word salads and all that other nonsense of I was part of a middle-class family, which that too is a lie. All these different lies that she's thrown out there. Just flat out asking her, are you black? Do you consider yourself black? That's a great opening question. Are you black? Yes or no? Are you black? Not, are you Jamaican? Are you black? Jamaican is a nationality. Black is a race. Are you black? And you don't have to like dig deep into it. You know, so many different lies that she's told. Today it was exposed that she plagiarized in her own book, quoting from Martin Luther King of all people, and pretending it's her own words. Ask her about that. There's so many different things you can ask her about to basically show that she's She's a crackpot lunatic who's an airheaded, dunderheaded, ridiculous candidate to be the next leader of the free world. The slave labor that she ran when she was prosecuting attorney. There's so many things to hit her on. So will Fox hit her on it? I have my doubts. Because when it comes to elections, they seem to be very hard uniparty and very much not on the side of Donald Trump. So the timing of this and everything here, that her numbers are sagging, and all of a sudden, now maybe the numbers are sagging, that's why she agreed to go on. That's possible. It's possible that she refused to go on Fox until she's like, oh my God, I need a Hail Mary at this point. But if they throw her a lifeline here, Brett Baier starts throwing her a lifeline, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see. In your community, the majority support Trump or Kamala Harris? Oh, everyone's Trump. Everyone. There's no such. It's like almost considered like sinful to be supporting Kamala Harris. Everyone. He's not looked at as being a role model, but as far as politically, yeah, it's. And every person in my synagogue is going to be voting for Trump. I don't trust any of them either. Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
You are the luckiest man I've ever met.
Wow.
He said, you should immediately go out and buy a lotto ticket. Can you imagine telling me to buy a lotto ticket?
Let me tell you something. If you just got lucky that your life was saved by 1,000,000 to 1 shot, a lot of people say, wow, you should go buy a lottery ticket. No, that's the worst time to buy a lottery ticket because you just used up a lot of your luck. I never understood that. It's like you should go buy. No. This is when you should stay indoors. You used up a lot of your good luck. It's like, do you think like 2 million? That's like saying if you win the lottery, the next day you should go out and buy another lottery ticket. No, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Would anyone think that? Oh yeah, lots of people win the lottery back-to-back times. I never got that. I never understood that.
There's blood all over the place.
Yeah.
And he said, I've been doing this for 25 years. He said, I've never seen a thing like this.
Wow.
Because it's just, just whacked.
Yeah.
Whacked it, but it was something that was, relatively not so bad compared to what could have happened. So I feel very lucky. It was an amazing experience, a horrible experience in most ways. In some ways, it was beautiful because I was somehow I hopefully Corey's protected too, who's the firefighter, and he's in a good place, maybe a better place than we're in here, because this world is a little bit on the tough side. But it was an amazing experience.
Do you feel like a increase in your spirituality after something like
Well, maybe, especially when I'm hearing from people that do shoot and are good at it, that it was almost impossible to miss from, like a 1 foot putt.
You start to
very
believe
hard. You got to miss it. That's a bad putt, right?
Yeah.
He equated it to a 1 foot putt. When they say that, I say, well, that's so. You're saying they said a bad shooter would hit you from that distance 100% of the time.
Wow.
That's pretty. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And here I am. We're doing this wonderful interview with 4 geniuses that are hot as pistols, right? Good hair on this guy.
Yeah. Likewise, sir.
Pretty good stuff you got.
Yeah, I gave up on them after they fired Tucker also. It's like you care that little about, you're so against him that even though it's hurting your bottom line, you're willing to get rid of him. In some ridiculous settlement with Dominion, which only bolstered Dominion's position immeasurably.
So anyway, but here we are.
Who do you think tried to take you out?
So I'm going to give you some big breaking news, right?
Love that.
Because I know the kind of show and it's entertainment, but it's also very serious. I mean, I get the whole picture. And you know what? If it was just funny stuff, you wouldn't have the success you've got, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to intersperse it, but I'll give you something. So first of all, I have great respect for the Secret Service. And the guys that were with me, I went down and I did a good job going down because those bullets were winging over my head. If I would have been up for another couple of seconds, I also wouldn't have been here. But I didn't consider that as lucky as turning to the right at that one. It was like 1/16 of a second.
Yeah.
was the only time that
unbelievable.
I was safe, essentially.
Right.
If I would have gone a little further, I would have been hit. If I would have gone not as far, I would have been hit. I mean, I had like this little tiny moment. And the amazing thing is the sign is always on my left and it's always at the end. And I only use it 20% of the time, maybe even less than that.
And
This was
time
a
it's on the
chart.
right.
This was a chart on immigration
Yeah.
because I have the record. I did a great job in immigration. They are not doing too well right now.
Stay on the breaking news. Stay on the breaking news.
So here's the breaking. So,
Yeah,
So-
he's like,
you have this shoot.
see, that's a good job by Andrew, because once he starts going on a tangent, it's like all of a sudden now we'll be talking about immigration. I'm like, no, you're about to break news with us.
And you have another shooter, right? So this shooter had 3 or so cell phones.
Mm.
The FBI's never gotten them opened.
Wow.
The other shooter, 3 apps, they call them. And I believe they were foreign-based apps, from what I understand.
Oh, wow.
They haven't opened them, and they're foreign-based. And you hear all about Iran, because I was rough with Iran, but I want to see Iran do great. I want to see Iran do great.
Yeah.
But I want to stop all the killing and all
Right.
this. And I was rough on Iran, and they supposedly have a hit on me. In fact, I think it takes great courage for you people to be interviewing me, because it could be now,
Yeah.
They
Well,
could
we
be
didn't know
right
that
now.
before we got in here.
No, if
before.
you would have known that, you might not have
Yeah.
done this.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, this is a good way of me getting the interview to be shorter.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, he's going to say, okay, that's it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Go
It's
see
been
my
great.
daughter.
Yeah.
They have 3 apps, and foreign-based, 2 of them, maybe 3 of them are foreign-based. They haven't
Wow.
opened them yet. Why wouldn't you open them when you hear about Iran or when you hear about, foreign? Then the other one had 6 cell phones, and they haven't opened. Now, it's very hard to open a cell phone. Only Apple can do it in theory, unless you have somebody. But they had no problem getting the J6 people's cell phones open. They opened their cell phones very quickly. We have 2 countries in a way. What's happening here is very bad. It's very dangerous. We almost had one, because I had the greatest economy in the history of our country, and people were coming together. We almost had one, but we really do have 2 right now, and it's a shame, because I think we'll get them together. Success will bring us together, but they should get those phones opened. And, when there's an assassination attempt on a former president who's now, I'm proud to say, leading in all the polls against the Democrat, I don't know which one is running. You don't know what the hell's going on. I'm the only one that had to run against 2. I run against 2 Democrats, but this is a first. We create a lot of firsts. Usually you run against somebody. Here I run. I had the debate. I was way up on him.
Yeah.
And then they say, let's put this is like
He's
with
going
Dana
for
White, the
tangent
fighter.
again.
So you're fighting, and the one guy's getting killed. And they say, that's okay. Let's put in another
Tag
fighter
him in.
to finish it off.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're fighting. You say, hey, wait a minute. I have a brand new fighter in here.
WWE.
I spent $150 million on beating Biden. And then all of a sudden I hear that they're going to overthrow him. It was a coup. I mean, it really was. But I would like them to open up these apps and find out what's in there. And so he had six cell phones. Who has 6 cell phones?
Mhm.
Having 6 cell phones is weird. I have cell phones. If I ever have 2, it's like a lot.
Yeah.
He had 6 cell phones. Why does he have them? And why haven't they opened up those cell phones?
So if you had to
and
guess,
it's different. If you're a drug dealer, I think it's terrible in many ways, but I guess from another standpoint, Apple, the primary group, people buy those phones because they will never open them for
Right.
any reason.
Hmm.
But they got them open on J6. They opened up their phones, but they don't open. And this is big stuff. This is an assassination attempt. And it
So
could
why do you
involve
think that
other
has
countries.
gotten
There was that San Bernardino shooter that they hacked. The FBI was able to hack into the phone. Apple didn't give it up, but they were able
There
to
are
hack in.
some people in the world, very few, that have an ability to sometimes be able to hack in.
Got it.
Very rarely, actually.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing when you think that with all the genius, you almost can't do it. But Apple has a key. And the key is, they can do it immediately.
Yeah.
But they don't do it. And they don't do it. And that's one of the reasons that, I hate to say it, drug lords feel very confident that they'll never be exposed. And they use their cell
Right.
phones, their Apple phones, and maybe it's that way with other companies. I don't know. They have Samsung, they have other companies. But it's very hard. Apple's very strong on that. But when it comes to the assassination of a president, leading candidate,
yeah,
former president, all that, I think the rules have to go out and they have to open those things. Then they have to find out.
Why do you think they have
in terms of national
Some
security?
people would say you have to either punish Apple or you have to get somebody that can do it. But in terms of national security, so the one guy has 6 phones, lots of messages to people. Who are those people he's calling when he's hiding behind a bush?
So if you had to guess, I'm sure you thought, obviously.
His thing is trying to get back to it. It's like, okay, so what did you? Well, you had to guess. What do you think the answer is to your questions?
You've thought about this a lot. It's an assassination attempt. If you had to guess, who do you think is responsible?
These are great questions. What the hell? I don't get these questions from the fake news.
Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell's not
like
asking
like
this.
Deface the Nation. They have the woman of Brennan. She's on Deface the Nation. She was terrible with the way she handled J.D. Vance, who did a great job the other night.
He did do a great job.
But I don't get questions like that. Did you ever hear of the show Deface? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald Trump on Deface the Nation. It's called Face the Nation. They hate.
No,
they spend millions of dollars.
Name a show that?
Oh, I see. You didn't hear of it. That's good. They spend millions of dollars on the name CBS.
Yeah.
And then I come along and I say it's Face the Nation. It's well known.
Very,
Or Meet the Fake Press.
Yeah.
Meet the press.
You're good at this.
I say Meet the Fake Press.
Yeah.
And they spend all this money, and then I say it once, and it goes to millions of people.
Yeah.
But no, they are fake. But some of these questions are much better.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored.
Much
Are you
better.
going to answer?
You don't have an answer, though.
That was the best dodge of the question.
That's your second best dodge in your life.
You almost charmed us out of it.
Trying to get out of it.
All right, fair enough.
Well, look, if you look at assassinations or attempts, first of all, you realize I'm in a very dangerous business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because 1/10, think of this, 1/10 of 1% of auto races die.
Yep.
Bull riders, I think that's pretty dangerous, right?
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
much
going on.
about it, but I think I wouldn't want to be on one of those suckers.
No.
Yeah.
I see them flying off and the hoof is like an inch from the eye. And when it hits the eye, you're gone,
Game
right?
over. Yeah.
And they are well, it's about the same. 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah.
And other things. It's never much more than that. That's sort of maxed out, I think.
Yeah.
Race car drivers, bull riders, I think that's pretty much tough.
Yeah.
UFC fighters, it's none.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's ever actually.
Not in UFC, in MMA or boxing.
Maybe.
Unfortunately,
It
there
must
was
be.
those tragic events. Yeah.
Amazingly, boxers die a lot. But UFC, Dana tells me it's a safe sport. I say, to me, it's much rougher. But, it's pretty amazing. They've never, in UFC, they've never lost. And they run a great operation. Nobody's died. But with presidents, it's like a substantial percentage.
Way higher than we
When
realized.
you look at Lincoln and Kennedy and this and that. I mean,
Attempts,
you go
Reagan.
through McKinley.
Yep. Garfield.
You look at a lot of people. I'm
Yeah.
in a very dangerous
Dangerous business.
profession.
Yeah.
I call it a profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in
I
a
like that.
dangerous profession.
I like that.
I'm sitting with you guys. You have a very nice, safe life. Me?
Yeah.
So no, if you said 5%.
I think he called us soft.
No,
Yeah,
but think
I'm fine
of
with
it. Yeah, but think of it.
He's not
5%.
answering the question.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's
Yeah,
high.
That's a lot.
I
And
think even the attempts is something like
Attempts?
25%.
Yeah.
Of
attempts
presidents have had
is getting
attempt.
into really
It's crazy.
numbers. So people don't think of that. You run and you see, and then you win, and you're down Pennsylvania, and you're looking at everything. So you're in a
That's the danger
dangerous
starts.
profession.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I was saying before, though, that, I do a thing called a weave.
Yeah.
And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I
Weave.
start a story,
Yeah.
what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good
They
if
don't
you
give you
come
credit
back.
for that.
Yeah, it's true.
That you could go all the way over here and then
I
get
can
back.
go so far here or there, and I can come back to
does.
exactly where I started.
He really
Now,
does.
Someday when you don't come back to where you started,
You're Biden.
then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling like a story, I was telling a story.
I don't think he's coming back though. I don't think he's coming back to like who's behind it. I don't know who he thinks is behind it. I don't think he's coming back. I think that's purposeful. Brett Baier has never supported Trump. If he isn't sunshine roses and giving Kamala candy, I'd be shocked. Him doing the Fox interview is a joke. Yep. Am I drinking High Life, the champs of beers? No, this is actual. Oh, yeah, I just finished off. Just almost finished off. Bloodline, Blood Orange IPA, which I'm not a big fan of. To me, it tastes kind of skunky. I don't know if it's this particular beer is skunky, but I'm not really a big fan. If you don't mind, I'm going to kill the light here because I feel like Lady Lawgic's trying to go to sleep and I feel bad for her. So I'm going to kill the light because... Hold on 1 second. All right. There you go. Don't like this view of Trump's Fourth Amendment violations all over the place. Well, he showed his cards. Genius. How did he show his cards? I didn't see him showing his cards.
The rally the other day in front of thousands of people. And I started off, and then
you were weaving
something in the story. I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there. So I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said how I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taken you? So anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, you know, he was rambling. Yeah. It's not a ramble. There's no rambling.
This is a weave.
This is a weave. I call it the weave. Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news. We came up with lots of names.
Yeah.
But the weave is, I think we should make the weave a part of that stable.
Yeah, you really weaved right answering my question twice.
Brilliant.
So
I don't even want to know the answer anymore.
I lost interest.
We'll weave back. Let's weave back to his question. Okay. This is where it started. So we'll weave back to his question. I sort of hate answering it because I don't want to give any false identities. I don't want to do anything having to do with creating something that isn't there.
Nancy Pelosi. She's the one who did it. She's the one. It was all Nancy. Nasty Nancy Pelosi. Did it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it.
You would look at Iran. Iran has an open threat out for me, and that's bad. And Biden, if he were a real president, if he were the kind of guy he should be, should say, if anybody shoots a former president who's now the leading candidate, even though he's leading against Democrats, we will bomb that country into oblivion. And it would stop. And that's been said before with some people. You know, there have been people, I won't go into it, but there have been people that have been threatened in another party even. In the same party, it makes sense and probably happens pretty quickly. But in another party, you know, it's hard for them to
cross the line.
To want to protect me. But it shouldn't be hard. Other people have protected other people. And what you have to inform those people is if they do it, the country will be blown to smithereens. The entire country will be blown to smithereens. And those threats go away because that's a really bad threat for a country. Forget about me. I'm an individual, but I represent something very important. That's a really terrible threat.
Great point.
So, I mean, there are others that could be in that category. Look, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China at a level that no president took in anything. I had tariffs on China, took in hundreds of billions of dollars. They're still there. That without me, they wouldn't have those tariffs on. So you could say, but no. I think Iran would be the one.
All right, guys, let's take a break for a second because we got to shout out the greatest law firm.
Morgan & Morgan. They do a lot of advertising. I guess that's not a knock on them. Oops.
I was tough with other countries, but I got along very well with them. But you know, we were like a pussycat. We were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst grippers were our so-called allies, people countries that we supposedly get along with, but they're the ones that took advantage of us on trade at a level like, you know, I mean, I ended some of the dumbest trade deals I've ever seen and made them much better for the country. I mean, what difference does it make? I took a terrible trade deal, would make it a good trade deal. But like Japan, I redid the trade deal. South Korea, I did the trade deal. The deals. I went to Abe of Japan. I said, Shinzo, he was assassinated. He was as you probably, he was incredible, great man. He was a great leader for the people. They loved him. I said, Shinzo, look, we can't do this. The trade deal is so bad. We're friends, but I have to renegotiate the trade deal. And he said to me, I knew that would happen. I said, why did you know? Because you're right. It's so one-sided.
Wow.
It's like he said, I knew you'd catch us. But they went through many presidents where Japan was, as an example, they'll send us millions of cars. We're not allowed to send them any. They send us their farm product. We were sending them practically nothing. It was like a one-way. Everything was one way. And by the way, virtually China was the worst, but there were many countries almost as bad. The European Union was almost as bad, in my opinion. You know, it sounds nice. Oh, the European Union is so nice. They were ruthless in their trading. And I said to Angela Merkel, how many Chevrolets do we have in the middle of Berlin? Why? I don't believe any. I said, you're right. And yet we take in all of that. We take in Mercedes-Benz and BMW, and we take in all of this Volkswagen. We're taking in all of these millions and millions of cars. I say, how many American cars are in the middle of Munich or Berlin? And the answer is none. And I had things change around. So, you could say, I think that the answer would be, at this moment, Iran. And I think they could catch him. And if we had a real president, which we don't have a real president. We have a man that is grossly inept. And it's very dangerous because these guys are all at the top of their game. When you talk about President Xi and you talk about any one of the leaders in the world, Macron, and he's a smart guy. He's all for France. I mean, he would take the shirt off your back if you didn't know what you were doing.
So when you're with these guys, are these guys all sharks?
Yeah.
And you can sense the energy immediately?
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them aren't sharks.
How are you assessing personality?
Okay, well, I can tell you, like,
great.
Such a great
Modi,
question.
India.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. He's great. He's the nicest.
India.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you. Do you like him or not?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
I have family on both sides of it.
Okay,
I have
well,
family
let me
that
tell
loves
you.
everything and family
I'll just
that's
tell
not.
you, though. You need him. I know. Well, they had, before him, they were replacing him every year. It was very unstable. He came along.
He's in a labyrinth
He's
structure.
great. He's a friend of mine. But on the outside, he looks like he's your father. He's the nicest, total killer. Because I asked him,
Yeah.
we're talking, they did a thing called Howdy Modi in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they filled up the stadium. It was me and him.
Yeah.
We filled up the stadium. It was beautiful.
Howdy,
Like 80,000 people was going crazy. And we're walking around today. Maybe I wouldn't be as, maybe you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But we're walking in the middle, waving to everybody. Anyway, but we have a very good relationship. He's the nicest human being. But we had a couple of occasions where somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. And I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay?
Yeah.
You can probably guess the country.
Yeah.
Can't fathom which.
You know the country.
Yeah.
But I said, whoa, what happened there? What happened? So, no, they're all tough and they're all smart. And some are very good people. He's a good person. There's some
so
good people
wild.
and some aren't good people. But they're
Yeah.
all at the
It's like you feel like this feels like I feel like I'm sitting here like with him. It's the weirdest thing. You don't see this. You don't see a freaking leader of the world like actually sit down and it's like just like giving you his like inside dope as like what's going on in his brain as he's meeting these different people. Like it's such a bizarre, refreshing thing. Can you even, I mean, just like as far as like breaking down like, the good and the bad and the things that would surprise you about different individuals who are, historic world leaders. And he's giving you his actual genuine perspectives as to like what they are like when you sit down with them. This is just an amazing thing to watch. This is amazing. I'm telling you right now, if I didn't have a show, I'd be sitting there watching this whole thing. This is fascinating.
top of their game. And we have her, who is, now more important than him, I guess, although he's still president of this country. And we're talking about nuclear war. And he's not capable. He doesn't even know what it is.
Yeah.
He said yesterday, when they talked about should they hit Iran's nuclear, no, you shouldn't do that. I said, no, it's sort of just the opposite, because the nuclear is the biggest threat we have in the world today. It's not global warming where the oceans are rising 1/8 of an inch in the next 500 years.
Right.
The threat that we have, the biggest threat, is nuclear war.
Yeah.
You seem
Because-
concerned about that.
I am, because it only takes one. I am.
Very true.
There are 5 countries now that have capability, and soon they'll have more. And we shouldn't let there be more. And I was at a point very good, despite the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax, and we were totally exonerated and everything else. I could have told them that the first day, but that causes, a lot of problems.
Yeah.
A lot of problems, and they're a big nuclear power. We were close to a deal for getting rid of nuclear weapons. It would be so good.
For
Now-
all countries or just Russia?
We were talking about Russia, ourselves, and China.
Oh, wow.
And we would then bring everyone else into it. And
So you,
I see, and I talked about this before. I don't know how this would work. Like, yeah, in utopia, that sounds like a phenomenal thing. I just don't understand. Like, so what happens then if someone actually develops nuclear power? Are they now the king of the world? If some terror regime were to then develop nuclear power, and they're the only ones on the planet who have it. So now they're basically what everyone's going to have to bow down to out of fear that they're going to be obliterated because, well, we got rid of all our nukes, and now these folks have it. Like, what would I don't know how that would. I don't know how that would work. Even if you could, which I don't know how you get past the trust factor that people wouldn't have underground nukes and all that other stuff in places like Russia, China. But even if you could somehow find a way to obliterate or neutralize that potential hazard and genuinely know that these countries are all denuclearizing, what would you do if some other power came along and they did have nuclear capacity? What would you do then? Like, I don't understand that. And you can have all the javelins in the world. You can have all the different rocket missiles and most advanced weaponry. And you can be blowing up a house from, 7,000 miles away. And that's all well and good. But that's not an atom bomb. That's not a nuclear bomb. So I don't know how that would function. I can't even imagine how that would function. It's nice to dream of it, but it's hard to imagine how it would work. As big a media shift as JFK on TV. This is massive. It's really massive. You're wrong on Fox and Baier. Baier pushed back and lost when Arizona was called for JB for Biden. Fox was last to call election for JB. Majority of Fox personalities are pro-Trump. Gutfeld is top star and is pretty close with Donald J. Trump. Yeah, Gutfeld. Yeah, sure. He is. Brett Baier? Now, to be fair, as far as I do recall him calling one of the states, I don't remember if it was Georgia. It might have been Pennsylvania. It might have been Arizona. It was certainly one state that I remember that he was the first voice to call it. Now, to be fair, it wasn't his individual call to do that. I'm sure he was being told by his execs that we're going to make the call here. But I do remember a clip of him being the first one to call a particular one of those battleground states. I think it was Georgia. I'm not sure, though. Might have been Michigan. I don't remember. Pennsylvania. I think it was Georgia. And he was like the first one to call it. But again, that's not his individual choice. I'm sure he was told by execs. Look, I hope you're right, Janella. I hope you're right. Well, y'all will know 3 days before I will, because you're probably going to watch it Wednesday night. I should put a poll up. Do you guys want me to watch it on? I'm going to do that now. Let me put a poll up here. Let's put a poll up here. Start a poll. Should I watch Fox interview? If you came late, as I explained to the audience earlier, I will not be on the air Wednesday night. or Thursday because of a Jewish holiday, I'm not going to be seeing this interview until the earliest Saturday night. And that's why I'm putting a poll. Should I watch the Fox interview of Kamala 3 days late on Saturday night? Or no, I won't. And on Rumble, I guess I'll ask you as also, should I watch 3 days late on Saturday night or not? Yes for rewatch, no for you don't want me wasting my time doing that with y'all. Do that on your own time, Joe. Do that on your own time, Joey. Nukes are very easy to make. I think it's more of the emotionally based motion to satisfy civilians. On the other hand, nukes are obsolete because of the JDAM. Are they? Maybe.
Strongly.
You all would get rid of your nuclear capabilities.
Denuclearize, yes. We were going to get rid
Totally
of
denuclearized.
nuclear because it's too powerful.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle, Dr. John Trump, was
Country doctor.
Yeah. Dr. John Trump. Well, he was a nuclear doctor, actually. He was at MIT. He's the longest serving professor at MIT. He passed away, great guy. He was a brilliant guy, a brilliant scientist. And he used to tell me, he said, a long time ago, he'd say, Donald, someday it's very dangerous. Somebody will be able to carry a small briefcase into a building in New York and blow up the entire city.
Oh, wow.
I said, you got to be kidding me, Uncle John. That will never happen. He was like a really brilliant guy. He was there for, I think, 41 years. He's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT.
Oh, wow.
So when I understand physics and when I understand things well, they say, how come there's good genetics. You know, I'm a believer. Are you guys believers in it? Were your parents funny? Were they comedians?
Yeah, my mom's side was is Scottish. And,
Fellow Scottish, yeah.
Oh.
Scottish women tend to be
You know,
pretty-
my mom.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
And she was great.
Which is that where you get your humor
Yeah,
from?
well, I'll tell you what. England at the time, they fought them for 1,000 years trying to get them under toe. They couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
They're very tough. That reminds me of my mother, come to think of it. Now, my mother was great. She was Stornoway.
Yeah.
The Hebrides, right? That's really serious Scottish.
Yeah.
But she was great. But it is true when you see Braveheart, that was one of many times, for hundreds
Did you
of
watch
years.
that with your mom by any chance?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to. I'll tell you, I saw Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson is a very good guy. I've met him a number of times, good guy. But I'll tell you, that was super Mel Gibson in his prime.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I was on a plane, and there was absolutely nothing to do. It was one of these planes that you couldn't make calls, you couldn't do, and they had tapes.
That's all planes for us.
And they showed me they showed me, sir, we have 20 tapes. And I looked at the tapes and they were all, and this was like 20 years after it was made. This was probably 6 years ago. I never saw Braveheart.
Okay.
And they showed me a tape. I say, all right, let's put that one on. And within about 4 minutes, I said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
It's incredible. Within 4 minutes.
No, I'm not a Braveheart fan, but you've seen it.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
And now I want to watch Braveheart again. Now I want to see it. 'Cause it's been a long time. It's been decades since I've seen Braveheart. Now I really want to watch it. I don't know. Now I got a yen for it. You keep building a sukkah, you would default to a prefab. If so, can you assemble your own prefab sukkah? You have to hire someone. When I was a kid, I was building sukkahs. A sukkah is like this structure that we sit outside in Eden, kind of like a shed, but it doesn't have like a real roof on it. Instead, it has bamboo slats. That's basically what the holiday Sukkot is. What we live in for a week, and so a lot of them are pre-made they just sort of like assemble them, and they're kind of almost like Lego, but like life-size Lego that you sort of put together. So most people use prefab now. When I was growing up, no, we had to like sort of slap. There wasn't. It wasn't like the wood. We didn't. I never. Well, when I was really little, we had this sucker before the prefabs. We had this suckers you had to like nail in the stuff, but we used to like screw the boards together and stuff like that. Remember a long time since I did one of those. Now I got sons. Now I got sons. My sons put together the sucker. So I also have a brother-in-law who lives next door who's got a massive sucker, which is what we spend most of our sucker in. So
I saw it with my mom.
I
She
mean,
was
how
emotional
good,
for like a week.
I wish I saw it with my
Yeah.
mother, but it was good.
Was that your Braveheart moment? Like after getting shot when you stood up?
I should say this. Yesterday, I hacked down a couple of weed trees that we have. We have here in Jersey weeds that become like 10-foot high trees, and they're disaster. We had like these lantern bugs that seemed to like just make it their home, where there was like thousands of lantern bugs on my landscaping here in front of my house. These lantern bugs, which if you've never seen lantern bugs, they're kind of gross. They're called lantern bugs because they're shaped like a little rectangle type of. You can Google it, you'll find. But they're gray and red, and they're just these big flying things, and they're just gross. So yeah, so Lady Lawgic picked up this little mini. They grow into like trees with like trunks that are like this, like like this big. Like will be like the trunk if you let the weed stay there forever. Anyway, so that's what I had in my landscaping in front of my house, covered with lantern bugs. And it's like it grows into like it looks like practically like a palm tree. And one of them is growing up onto the wire of my cable that's connecting my phone line here to the main cable. And so Lady Lawgic got this little power saw, this really small chainsaw. I say really small. I didn't even know they made chainsaws this small. It's like this big. They're like this big. Still scared the bejesus out of Lady Lawgic for like me to be handling it. But I hacked away. And then carted off those actually my son carted off these weed trees. And Lady Lawgic was like, you should put this on video of you actually doing like, manual labor and like, just sort of upload that. I was like, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see me with like a 6-inch chainsaw. That's not what I'm doing. That's just not happening. I don't know. I don't see that as being something that's marketable. That people are like, oh yeah, that's what we. Lantern bugs. Oh my god, they're gross. It's like when I was like putting my hand on it. There's like so many of them. I was like trying to find a spot that there weren't lantern bugs. Like put my hand on it so I grip the top of it. Break it off. Good. Not lightning bugs, lantern bugs. Lantern bugs. Mine look more rectangular than this. Yeah, like this. This is it. And this is like the size. This is it. Right here. You want to put your hand on that branch? These are like more flying type of things. It's really like this thing here. Gross. Ugh. Gosh. It's like they fell in love with these stupid weed trees. Spotted lantern flies. Not like this. I didn't see anything like this. They're more like this. More like that. Ugh. You see like thousands of them. They're big also, like this big. Yeah. They die easy though. That's the one good thing about them. No, I'm not saving lantern bug covered weeds for schach. Schach is the bamboo things that. Is this where you tell us that Tachrite chainsaws have Tachrite chainsaws have sponsored? I don't remember if it's Tachrite. I don't remember what it was. I just remember that Lady Lawgic was really thrilled that she got them so cheap. She's like, this thing normally costs like $100. I got it for like nothing. She was very thrilled.
Oh no,
No,
you don't
my
think
freedom.
of that in those moments. You do what you do.
Yeah, thank
know-
God you weren't thinking about Mel Gibson. In
Nah, but he's good. But he was when he in prime time, he was
unbelievable.
I mean, at
What a
that,
run.
his look, his way, you couldn't have had a better
Yeah.
guy playing it. But that was a great movie. So,
Yeah.
but it is true. England, and
Scotland fought
at
for
the time,
years.
for 1,000 years. I mean, they'd have the battles with thousands or once a thousand,
Yeah.
and they run at each other.
Yeah.
Tell me that.
I
You
mean,
think
the,
you think that takes guts? They run at each other,
I think so.
knowing they're going to pretty much die, right?
the Roman army built walls to keep out the Scottish
Yeah,
when they were up in England.
yeah. They were
Yeah.
afraid of the Scotch.
They were
Yes.
afraid.
The Scottish people, they're tough people. They're good people. Actually, they're very great people, but they're good fighters.
But your mom was funny.
She was funny. Yeah,
That's what I hear.
she was-
I hear
she
she was.
had a great sense of humor, and my father loved my mother. They were married for.
Yeah. Polar
Yeah.
opposites, though.
Yeah, my father was German,
Serious.
serious, but good. He was a tough guy, but he had a good heart. When he walked down the street, and they'd say we could walk down the street,
Yeah.
he would always give something to. If there was somebody that had problems, he used to have the can and a pencil. The can out. My father would always put $100 in that thing.
wow.
He'd always do it.
Doug Fat says Janelle Arella is correct. Brett Baier asked the decision desk how they could call Arizona so quickly. The decision desk sent out someone to explain how they decided. That guy quit a week later. Okay. I hope you're right. Look, I would be very happily surprised. I hope you and Janelle Arella are correct. And Brett Baier will come after her as aggressively as she deserves to be come after, considering all the softball cheese puff interviews she's done so far. So that'd be great.
No, he had a tremendous heart, but he was a tough guy. He was tough. He was just like no nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how your mother felt, but she loved the Queen. Don't forget, the Queen was, the Queen was great. Oh, would she have liked? Because the Queen honored me before she died. She
Really?
honored me as the president in Buckingham Palace.
Hmm.
And there's nobody that does it like the English. There's nobody that has that, the pomp and ceremony. But my mother would love that. Your mother, so did she feel strongly about like the royalty?
I think they're obsessed with the royal family out there, like in general.
Your mother would have been.
She was really into all the pageantry for sure.
My mother was.
Yeah.
My mother thought the Queen was great.
Yeah.
She thought the Queen was so wonderful.
Some of my family hates the English, though. I will
No,
be
I
honest.
know.
There's some history there.
I know. But
Yeah.
a lot of it's a hard breakup. They tried to break up Scotland from the rest of the empire, so to speak.
Because they got some oil.
And it made it by about like a half a point.
Yeah.
They kept it together. So
Yeah.
I hope it stays together. I
Yeah.
hope it always stays together. But England, as they say, because it used to be England, but England never could. And they were bigger.
Yeah.
And they had more people.
Yeah.
They could never finish it off by capturing Scotland. So
Yeah.
it's really sort of,
They ended up having to marry together.
they married.
Yeah.
They became sort of subsidiaries,
I
right?
guess. Yeah.
But it was great.
It's
That's
emergent.
interesting with your mother.
Guys, that little chunk of this scintillating conversation with President Trump has been brought to you by Flagrant and any owned stake and bonus. And when you do, humor comes even maybe some other stake. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show. Okay, so the humor comes from there, maybe some other things, because I think that's one thing that there's bipartisan support for you is even the people that are like, I don't like that guy, will go, hey, he's funny now. He says the funny things. Have you heard this before about
Yeah,
it?
I've heard it.
It's very disarming humor.
Yeah, but in my business, in what I do, if you don't have humor, you won't even survive.
Wait, why is that?
Because I think you have to have a light side. I see a lot of dark things. I see horrible things. I see things that are bad. I see political things that are hard. I mean, we have a lot of corrupt people in this country, and I see it. And horrible corrupt people. We have people that, I really do. We have from the inside, we have really bad people, and outside we do. But I think the outside is much. I think it's easier to handle China if you have a smart president who knows, some things. If you had who knows how to deal, let's say, you're not going to have a problem with Russia. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine if I were president. I used to talk to Putin about it. I got along great with him. They would have never, ever done it. I ended his pipeline. I ended the pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2.
Yeah.
I said, are you building a pipeline going to Europe? Yeah. I said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I told, I got them together. I said, you mean we're defending you from Russia and you're paying them billions of dollars a month for oil? It's not going to work that way. And I ended it. And then when Biden.
Which honestly, I'm expecting that the way he's going to end the war in Ukraine is he's going to give them their pipeline. That's what he's going to do. He's going to be like, I'll give you your pipeline. All right. But you gotta like sort of, you gotta call a truce here. And you're also going to have to pay royalties to us and to Ukraine. And that way he's going to basically, that's the capitalist solution. Okay. Capitalism can solve a lot of these problems. The capitalist solution is you're going to have your pipeline. You're going to make some money. We're going to make some money. We're going to get a little taste of that. And Ukraine's going to get a taste. And there you go. And that's how this whole thing's going to get resolved. He doesn't want to say that because he doesn't want to give that answer to the Democrats. Not that they would actually be capable of actually effectuating a deal. And if they did such a deal, they would never... we would end up paying for the pipeline. if Kamala or whoever the circle, a cadre of people around Joe Biden were running the show, they'd be like, "Oh, we'll end up paying Ukraine their cut," or something stupid like that for eternity. That we're gonna have to pay Ukraine. That's the deal they would negotiate. When Trump's finishing negotiating this, I'm telling you right now, I think that he will. That assuming he wins, which God willing, he should dominate in November. I think he's going to resolve this the capitalist way. And I think he's going to be like, all right, you're going to get your troops out of Kiev. You're going to move back to the Donbass region, keep your Crimea, keep your Donbass region, and keep your and we'll let you build a pipeline and get your troops the hell out of here. And you're going to be paying Zelensky a nice little cut. And you're paying us a nice little cut. That's what I'm expecting him to do. Now, I don't know. The least likely part of that is us getting our cut of it. But that way we could start getting recovery for the $160 billion that we've invested. 200 billion, who even knows how many billions of dollars. That's the capitalist solution. That should have happened before there was an invasion. You sort of work with him as a partner. That doesn't mean you're friends with him. Doesn't mean you trust him. It means you work a business deal with him. Not treat him like he's Satan. The stupidest thing about this whole Ukraine situation is these Democrats who are screaming, "Oh, he's so evil! Oh, he's so evil!" So what are we going to do about it? Let's poke the bear in the eye. Poke him in the eye. Poke him in the eye. What? How is that? How does that make sense? How does that make any sense at all? It doesn't make any sense. The solution was staring them in the face from before there was an invasion. The solution was staring. There are countless dead Ukrainians, hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians and dead Russians who never should have died. Never should have died if America knew what the hell it was doing under Joe Biden. But we didn't. It's a real tragedy.
Came in, he gave it back. The biggest project they ever had, right? He gave it back. And then everyone said, Trump is friends with Putin and stuff. Putin would say, if you're my friend, I'd hate like hell to see you as my enemy. Think of it. And I put a lot of sanctions on, but I got along with Russia. I got along with pretty much everybody. Actually, the tougher they were, the better I did with them. That's a good thing, not a bad thing, because the other ones are easier to handle. But the ones that I got along with, and they're also the bigger threats. I got along very well with President Xi of China. But when COVID came, I was not happy with him because it came out of the labs. I mean, they released it from accidentally, I believe. You know, a lot of people would say it wasn't an accident, but they got hit very hard. They got hit as hard as anybody in the world. You know, it was late. It was belated. It was a late hit. Yeah. But when COVID came, I made an unbelievable trade deal with China. They have to buy 50.
You'll forget that. I remember like when I don't remember if it was China or Korea, North Korea. And when everyone was having those numbers of infected persons in, I don't know, was it China or Korea? It might have been Korea. You remember when those tolls were running? It's like, oh, there's 300,000 Americans who have COVID, and those numbers were running daily in March of 2020. So this, I remember seeing a meme where it was North Korea, like, you know, different countries, how many, like, active, Italy having, like, I don't know, 1 million people infected with COVID. And and they had North Korea, like a running tally and all these different things, like ding, 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 like the numbers going up, going down, going up, going down. And then they had North Korea there, where it's like North Korea 2, and then like a minute later, North Korea 0, and then 2 minutes later, North Korea 1, and then a minute later, North Korea 0. That was funny. That was funny because they had their own solution to COVID. They had their own solution to COVID. It's like, oh wow, you got COVID. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh no, you got COVID. That's bad. Running tally of the infected.
$50 billion.
By the way, YouTube wants me to tell you that you should talk to your doctor about staying safe from COVID and all other infectious diseases. Don't take medical advice from me or like how to put a horse out of its misery. You should talk to your doctor about how to take care of your own personal health and the health of any equines that may be under your dominion and control.
Of our product every year. It was nobody could believe I got that deal done. I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even talk about it. That deal is unbelievable. And what's happened now, our farmers have been hit because Biden hasn't pressed them to honor the deal. You know, I used to, every day I'd get up, how much did China buy today? Sir, I'd call them up and say, you're behind. You have to buy 50 billion. Do you think Biden does that? Biden's sleeping. But over the last week, I have, what we talk about, funny or sad. I think it's more sad than funny.
Yeah.
He has one ability I don't have.
Yeah.
He sleeps. He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, 6 ounce. They weigh 6 ounces and you can't lift it. Yeah. They're meant for children, young people, and old people to lift. Yeah. They're aluminum, hollow aluminum. Yeah. They weigh very little and he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks good in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced. Yeah. All right. It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically you don't.
Depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to, and I don't want to know either. I don't know. But he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things. Yeah. And in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president. So they have cameras on him.
Yeah.
And then they show him sleeping on the beach.
Yeah.
You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we get you better at that? Like, what can we do? How do we work on that as a country?
As a country?
Yeah.
We got to save our country. Look, we are a nation in decline, whether you like it or not.
I hate hearing that.
I know. I hate
that.
It.
Hurts me. That hurts me. As a proud American,
well, what you like though is, but we're going to be greater than ever before.
So that's, I think, the messaging that I think. Yeah. I think that's really nice to hear.
Well, that's my ultimate message. But you can't avoid the fact that we've allowed 21 million people into our country in the last 3.5 years. And I don't know your persuasion. I don't know if you guys are liberal or what, but nobody can be happy with 21 million people openly walking into a place we don't know. And it was released last week that 13,000 of those people are murderers. 13,099. 13,000 of those people are in prison.
110%. And it could have ended in 2022. Instead of becoming a hot war, it could have ended. You're 110% correct. The war in Ukraine started under Biden. They did a regime change, and the next thing you knew, once they said we're not getting this person who's favorable to Russia out, we're gonna have a whole coup. That's when Russia goes into Crimea and says, "Look, we need a southern port." This is one of the things I haven't talked about the Ukraine war in a while, but Russia has access to oceans on two sides because they're a big enough country, right? Much like we have Atlantic and Pacific, they too have Atlantic and Pacific. But their access to on the Pacific side, like I think 80% of their ports are frozen in for like 9 months out of the year because it's so far north. So their Pacific ports are useless to them for like half to 3/4 of the year. And they can't keep ships there because they're literally frozen in. So what do? Well, the only port they have that's warm, that the water is warm enough throughout the year they can keep their navy there, the Russian Navy there, is by Crimea. Everything was going fine. That Ukraine was letting them do that until there was a regime change, and they're like, "All right, we need Crimea. We need to take that over." But all that's like, and that was pretty predictable if you actually thought through, okay, if we were Russia, how would we be feeling in this scenario here? And you can understand they kind of really need it if they're going to keep themselves safe. If you try crippling your opponent, you're leaving them with a choice of basically surrender or die. Or fight to the death. Surrender or fight to the death. That's what you do. That's what you're doing when you do that. Surrender or capitulate or fight to the death. When is the last time Russia capitulated? When is the last time that happened? You tell me. Go through your historic wars here. Because when Napoleon was tearing through Europe, they didn't capitulate. They went back, and they went back, and they went back. And as your forces get stretched thin, they're like, oh, we're going to just burn everything behind us when we leave. So you got no resources here. And as our country happens to get wider and wider as you get into it, your lines can get thinner and longer from home. And it gets cold here pretty fast. You don't want to be here in October. Certainly not November. And oh my God, help you in December. God help you in January, because you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. It's so well known that when Adolf went into Russia, they specifically they wanted to go in April, but they got bogged down from being able to go in April, and they didn't get to go in May, and they went into Russia later than they wanted to because they were hopeful that they'd be able to conquer Russia and take Moscow in like 2 months, and they had been very successful in all their battles. They're like, okay, hopefully we'll be able to get to Moscow by the end of the summer, because they didn't go in there. I think they went on June 21st, 1941. It might be June 22nd. Somewhere within those 3 days period, between June 20th and June 22nd, 1941 is when they invaded Russia. And they're like, it's a little later than we wanted to, because we figured it's going to take us, we're hopeful it'll take us 3 to 6 weeks and we'll be able to get to Moscow. And they were tearing through Russia, tearing through them during the early part of it, destroying them. Russian soldiers like surrendering left and right. And then winter comes around. Things get rough. Things get rough. Even, in fact, that was part of the mistake that Napoleon made, is that he took over Moscow and there was like no resources there. He got stuck there for winter, and that was one of his defeats. And he was a brilliant general. I mean, brilliant Napoleon. Brilliant. Arguably the most brilliant general in world history. You can make a case. Certainly in modern times. You have to go back to ancient times to even come up with a general who's close to Napoleon Bonaparte. He was great. He couldn't beat winter. You can't beat winter. Yeah, I'm not sure how I got started talking about that other than So the point is, I was saying how Russia doesn't capitulate. What do? They just retreat, and then they'll come back and get you. They don't give in. They're never waving the white flag. They'll be like, all right, you can take this piece. You can take that piece. We'll give you another piece. Take another piece. Eventually, you're going to regret taking all those pieces. Which means you don't poke the bear. You don't poke the bear, especially if you think he's a lunatic. If you think he's a psychotic, crazy, terrible, awful, Adolf, awful. Oh my God, what a monster he is. And he's a psycho. And You can't put yourself in his shoes because he's not going to react the way you're going to react. Why would you be poking him? Why not just work with him? Just be like, all right, look, I'll give you your little wins here and there. That's how do some seichel. Crying out loud.
They're incarcerated for murder and they let them out.
I think you have support on this, though. I think everybody.
Tremendous, and people openly walking into a place we don't know. And it was released last week that 13,000 of those people are murderers. 13,099. 13,000 of those people are in prison. They're incarcerated for murder and they let them out.
I think you have support on this, though. I think everybody,
tremendous support,
regardless.
I think I'll let you know. I'll let you know on November 6th if I have support.
But
the
I
day
don't
after
think,
the election.
I don't
November
think there's
5th, the most important day.
Yeah,
no,
I think people are agreeing they want a strong border. And I think I don't think that's an issue that's like tearing the country apart. But I do think that there is something
there are some people that want to open, and they're either.
But they're like politicians that are getting some sort of reinforcement through this. The average American, I don't think, is going, we need an open board. Yeah.
I think only a person that hates our country, actually, maybe it's a down deep hatred, can want open borders. So we took in more than 21 million people in the last 3.5 years, and we have no idea where they even come from. They're terrorists, they're drug dealers. You know, in Venezuela, and it's not just South America, but take Venezuela.
And I can already envision the left being like, oh, he's calling all the illegal immigrants terrorists, and he's besmirching them, and it's dangerous rhetoric and all that. He's not saying that all of them are, obviously, but 13,000 of them we know are. There's probably a handful of others among them.
Well, they've taken their criminals off the streets of Caracas, which was a very dangerous city. You couldn't walk across the street in Caracas and get a loaf of bread. Right now, it's a safe city. Their crime is down 72%. They've taken all of their criminals, almost all of them, and they brought them into the United States and dumped them.
Yeah,
that's not ending well. You know where some of them went? To Aurora in Colorado, and they took over the town. They took it over.
The whole town?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. You know how they took it over? With guns. If they went into the real estate business, like me, I had to go to a bank and borrow.
Yeah.
They went in with
guns,
MK-47s, or they went in with would have
been so much easier.
Weapons like nobody's ever seen before. You know,
I think most people
they went in with
board.
military-style weapons. They've taken it over.
But I think most people are on board with deporting any illegal that has committed a crime.
Yeah.
Like I think there's bipartisan support of that. I think the tricky thing.
No,
and honestly, I have empathy.
The Democrats shot that down. They shot that down. Believe it or not, they shot that down. How much must you hate this country to be like, no, you can't deport someone who's a murderer from another country. You can't. No. Which is why if you vote for a Democrat, you're out of your freaking mind. You're a lunatic. Or you're ignorant. Which, in today's day and age, it's pretty close to the same thing. That brings up another question. Why is America making an enemy out of a non-communist Russia? Putin applied to join NATO 7 times. The majority wanted the U.S. vetoed every time. Great question. Why do we need a NATO? NATO was founded to stop Russia. Why do we need a NATO? When Soviet, especially if you're some commie-loving American, why do we need a NATO? The whole thing is ridiculous.
Like you're a business owner. There's been people, I'm not trying to out you, but like there's been people I'm sure that might not have had like legal citizenship that have maybe worked in various businesses. And it's like, I've definitely been taken care of as a kid by people that weren't legal, babysitters and stuff. So there are people that maybe would like a path to citizenship that I have a lot of empathy for.
You have to start with the criminals.
Agreed.
Okay. Look,
but maybe we can.
It's very tough.
Maybe we can open our hearts a little bit to the people who are trying to be, good, hardworking Americans.
And you know what's going to happen? You're going to be in the midst of this. Now, Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. We go off into
I like that. Because now, like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it. Because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you go.
Because what I was going to say is that
if he's going to talk about how Eisenhower deported people, I'm going to have to fact check a little bit on this. Because he did. He deported a lot of folks. But let's see where he goes first.
That Eisenhower.
I like the
He's a
play-by-play
moderate.
for the week.
No, it's good though, isn't
Yeah.
it great? We go into it. We mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back. Okay,
Boom.
it's part of the weave. You know?
Yeah.
Then you go back.
Yeah.
No, you got to
Finger
keep
roll.
it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. Think of it. Think of it. No, but think of it. So we have 92% and 8%. Nobody, no admirals, and no business people until me. So now we have me. I'm one.
Yeah.
So I'm.
And then maybe things change after that. Here's
No, I think it will change. There'll never be another business person that ever does this.
Okay, here's
because
a question.
I've been treated so badly that I think that no person of success. Don't forget, my whole life was deals. Most guys are stiffs.
Yes,
like they'll run for office.
It sounded like he was going down the road of talking about Operation Slur for Hispanic people, which is an actual operation that they had. It's the actual operation. The only operation that I know of that you can't really say the name on YouTube without having all sorts of people clipping you out of context and potentially seeing monetization issues with your channel. But they had an operation, not dry, but the opposite of dry front. And we'll just call it Operation Dry Front for the purposes of this conversation. So he employed Operation Dry Front, which was designed to sweep out illegal immigrants. And it was declared unconstitutional. So if that's where he's going to go, Supreme Court precedent is not going to be on his side. Now, maybe it's the way it was effectuated by Eisenhower. You can find a constitutional way of doing it. Possible. But if that's his role model, if that's like, what he's planning on doing, nothing's going to work. I'm just being real with you.
There's no deal. There's no nothing. You can't get yourself in trouble much.
Yeah.
You can be a crooked politician, which some are.
Yeah.
But basically, I do so many deals. I do hundreds of thousands of pages of documents a year. I
think you misspelled POG. I think.
When I'm really in the mood, right?
Yeah.
And if they find one page, I got myself a problem politically.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at it. They went after me for years on taxes.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
They went to the United States Supreme Court. I gave them tens of thousands of pages, and you never heard about it again.
Well, that is what often happens, which is probably incredibly frustrating, which is lobbing an allegation, and then when it's proven to be false, they just move on.
Oh, they don't even write about it. I called the New York Times on something. I was right. And they
The
said,
Russian
are
thing
you going to do?
was wild.
Yeah,
Like-
the Russian hoax.
Yeah.
Well, I'm suing Pulitzer. You don't know this. They got a Pulitzer Prize for their New York
the
Times,
hoax?
Washington
Oh, wow.
Post. Yeah, for the
Wow.
hoax.
Yeah.
They got the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
So the writers got Pulitzer Prizes for their brilliant coverage of the Russia hoax.
Interesting.
But it turned out to be right. So
Yeah.
we wrote a letter to the Pulitzer Prize, right? The committee, it's a big foundation.
Yeah.
And we said, it's a lawsuit that's going on right now. And we said, we demand that you take back the Pulitzer Prizes. We demand a apology.
Yeah.
Because you're actually, by leaving them, you're sort of saying it happened and it didn't happen. Everybody now is
You're
giving it
rewarding
up.
the lie.
Yeah. So I sued them. They said, well, we did what we did. That's okay. That's all right. So
Johnny Reb is saying we want to see your reaction live, first time watching, and I can do that. I will, and I see that the polling here is 77% saying yes, I'll rewatch it with you. All right, let's do it. We got a date for Saturday nights. Saturday night, I will watch, God willing, the Brett Baier interview of Kamala Harris. We have our Saturday night planned. So mark it in your calendar that I will be watching. Joe Good Lawgic will be doing a live react, his first time watching the Kamala Harris interview on Fox. So there you go. There you go. So it has been written. So it shall be done.
Sued them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got themselves a big problem now.
Yeah.
And this suit's moving along. And I think we're going to win that suit easily because they gave people Pulitzer Prizes that were wrong.
Yeah.
You know who should get the Pulitzer Prizes equivalent if you could? Guys like Sean Hannity, guys like, that there were numerous of them that, I mean, not as many as the fake news as the
You understand? Okay, let me explain something to you. When I'm on holiday, I literally won't turn a light on or off. I'm not watching TV. I'm not watching internet or YouTube. I'm not on social media. I'm not dealing with electronic things at all. Okay? I'm not getting in my car and driving anywhere. Nothing that has to do with electricity. So it's not a matter of like, oh, I really want to watch, but I can't. No. I am like, I'm going to sneak in the bathroom and start. No. It's like something like, it won't even cross my mind to watch it. It's not going to be hard to like, oh, don't cheat. The only first chance I would have to watch it would be before the show on Saturday night, which why would I bother doing that? So if you leave the oven on, you can leave it on. If it's on, you can leave it on. The light's on, you can leave it on. It's off, you leave it off. But look, are there some folks who might leave a TV on? Yes. Not in my community. That's not the type of way that we the whole point, I mean, a major part of the point I think is it's intentional to sort of give you a time to not be bogged down with things outside your community. It's not, I wouldn't call it the whole point, but it's a significant benefit. So yeah, I have no desire to try some way of circumventing. Trust me. Look, when I was a kid, okay, I was a huge sports fan. You want to know the only time I ever had any sort of hunger to do something like that is like when the Yankees were like in the playoffs, and they would be playing a game on a Friday night or on, Sukkot, so we call Sukkos, but that would be a time like, oh, maybe I'll leave a radio on, or something like that. And even that, I was like, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing that. Because it feels so anti the whole spirit of like the holiday. So don't worry, I'm not going to cheat. It's not even a thought.
Liberal media, but we had tremendous John Solomon. He's a great writer. So many people knew that was a hoax. Mm-hmm. They should get prizes. I don't know, Pulitzer Prize, because you don't give Pulitzer Prizes to a guy on television. Yeah. You can't get, in theory, a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah. But you had a lot of people that got that right. They got nothing. So we sued Pulitzer on the basis that they should absolutely take that prize back. And I said, by not taking it back, you're trying to say that it actually happened, in a way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm saying you're defaming me because by you not taking those prizes back, you're actually saying it happened.
Take a break for a second because some of y'all need to upgrade your wallet. Some of y'all don't, because last year you scooped up the flick. They could do your car P thing about it. We're watching this, these whatever. Leave the last hold out that one in there. But in the world, I mean, it's like, let's get up with who's got blue. No, I ain't going to tell you for long.
No, I asked him. I bet it so far.
I have a question because I know we have a limited time, but important thing. Like,
how are we doing so far?
You're doing great. You're doing amazing. So they're making us wrap up. We want you for long.
I'll bet it's my people. I do have other things, but
I know you're busy. But
how interesting is this stuff?
See, this is the fun stuff.
He's an influencer.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
I asked him. I said, Alex, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
And I wasn't.
Oh, you're not telling him he's got time now.
Give him a little more time. What the hell? Can I override Alex? I don't know. Yeah. Unlike Biden, he can't. I can. I can say, Alex, I'm doing it. He'll say, thank you, sir. No, Biden can't. They turn the cameras off with this guy. Do you ever see it? The cameras are off. The lights go off everywhere. Because you see, he's in deep trouble. We're in no trouble. Yeah. But I'll tell you what. I asked Alex. He's an influencer. He's a big name influencer. I don't know if he's in this league. I don't know who the hell knows. But I said to him, knowing nothing about influencers, I said, who is the biggest of all the influencers?
All right. Seriously. I'm all for free speech. What the heck is wrong with you? No, really, Kelly, what the heck is wrong with you? This is what you need to all cap? This is what you need to all cap? Seriously? And you drop it twice? Like you spamming me with all cap? I'm very open with my speech here. I'm very open with people doing their thing, but there's no racism, no violating YouTube terms service, and no spamming. All three of those things only make the chat worse for everyone else. And I'm far less tolerant about spamming when it's in all caps. So be original.
Sir, that's the easiest question you've ever asked me. Who is it? You, sir.
It's true.
I said, really? I never thought of it. He said, you're the biggest. You have hundreds of millions of people. You have more people than anybody else by far. You know, before they took away, I went from having 280 million on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. The three of them combined, 280. I think I was number one because Zuckerberg told me that. He came to the White House. He said, congratulations, you're number one on Facebook. You know, so I went from that to having nobody. That was like cold turkey, right? You'd call that cold turkey. Like that would be like if we didn't do business with China. One day I said, no more business with China. That's, you go cold turkey, right? And I went and I said, boy, but I had a lot to say. This was after the presidency, of course. You know, they do it after the presidency. During the presidency, they're a little bit
very nice.
But anyway, but I went totally off. I had nobody. And I had all these ideas. And I couldn't get the word out. And I had some good thoughts. And people wanted to hear my thoughts. And I did a thing called Save America. And essentially it was like the old-fashioned, you guys are far too young. In the old days, what we did, we didn't have tweeting and we didn't have truth. Truth is doing great, by the way. Would you please use truth? I love truth. Use truth, everybody. It's my voice. But I also use that. Everybody. I went from having all these people, and I did an old-fashioned press release. It's called. We used to go to press release. And somebody would write up something and
send it to all
and
the.
I started doing it. Save America, and they got longer and better and longer. And I started doing it, and man, I had millions of people. Now nobody else could do that because, you know,
I missed this from Giant Reb saying they didn't have the logo stocks to keep their troop supply for that long of a trek. They also had bureaucracy involved in the supply decisions. Yeah, okay. You want to try it today? I guess you could probably do it faster today. Like, how much death are we going to incur? And for what? For what benefit? You want to, like, take over Russia forever? That's because that's what apparently the agenda of the Democrats is.
Somebody puts out a press release, it just doesn't work out too well. But I did it, and it did well. And then I did Truth, and I'm very good friends with Elon, and we owe Elon a lot for what he's done with X. And I use X too. But my voice is on Truth, and it's done really well. I mean, if I want to get something out, I put it on Truth, and everybody picks it up. You know,
that's the thing. You put it there, and then you see other people.
It's picked up all over the place. It's picked up. I mean, I could be on anything I want, but I put it out on Truth, and it just gets picked up all over the place. So it's been very good. But he said I was the number one influencer. See, the weave.
The weave is great. Question. Okay, you've got your son. Barron.
Do you think I'm the number one influencer?
I think it's so Rogan. I think it's Rogan, you and Kim Kardashian. Like Kim Kardashian influences the shape of women's bodies and faces. Like you see so many, they're literal shape of human beings.
Do they want to look like her?
They want to look like her. So once we start seeing dudes want to look like you. And I see young Jack over there. I think he's trying to do it. You're TikTok guy. TikTok Jack.
So tell me, you know, this is a little new world. I call him, his name is Jack. I call him TikTok Jack. I'm good with names, you know.
You are.
You're very good.
You are.
I mean, Pocahontas. We have names.
What about, and there was, Tampon Tim was good. What about,
the problem with Tampon Tim, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
In other words,
it's a mouthful.
It's a lot. Tampon. And you can't stutter it through when you call it. It's really a lousy word to say. But it's quite accurate, right? There are some, like, Comrade Kamala. It's a little hard to say. She's comrade because she's obviously a communist. She's horrible. So I call her comrade. And it's not bad. But when you put the names together, it's a little, you got to be able to No, you got to be able to put it out there. But we have a lot of good ones. A lot of them I can't go into with you because some of my best ones. Some of my best ones are from the Republican primaries.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all friends of mine now.
Oh,
And I
now
don't
you
wanna-
got to be nice.
So I've
What
taken
about
that-
Mike Pence? You got anything from Mike Pence?
Well, it's a shame because he and I had a very good
What happened to him?
relationship.
Hanging out
He
somewhere.
couldn't cross the line of doing what was right, in my opinion.
Ah,
Some
yeah.
people would disagree with that, but he had the right to go and put them before the legislatures and have them reassess because they found out a lot of bad things. And he had a lawyer that said he didn't have that right, but he did have that right. And you know why we found out that that was true? Because they changed the law after the election so that he couldn't do what I said he could do.
Yeah.
Okay. They changed the law so that a vice president could no longer do what I said he could do. So
The question is whether they even have the power to change that law. That reminds me, I asked earlier on X whether I should explain the whole Jamie Raskin threat that if he wins, they're not going to let him take office. The Congress is not going to let him take office. And I was referencing a lawyer who appeared on Glenn Beck and was making this claim as to how the sequence of events will unfold with Congress trying to stop Trump from taking office, and then how once they do that, and whether Kamala wins or JD wins or all this other crazy nonsense. And I was like, this is stupid. This is not even a legitimately, there's no way this can possibly come to fruition. Congress doesn't have the power to do that. If you read the decision of Anderson v. Trump, there's no, or is it Trump v. Anderson, whatever it was, the Anderson decision. They don't have the power, the authority. They don't have the power. Do I need to explain? And I was like, do I need to explain this? Do people not understand? Some people think that this is a legitimate concern, that Congress is going to keep him out of the White? No. I mean, I guess a lawyer is getting up on Glenn Beck and spewing this nonsense. And I'm just like, no, this is a ridiculous read of that case, of that decision. It's ridiculous. I think I've explained it before. But yeah. It's not, they don't have the capacity to do it in any way. It's not like, when did they ever care about the, okay, let's start with this. Okay. I didn't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Someone's going to have to ask me to do it. I'm not. I've done it too many times.
in other words, I turned out to be right. But it's a shame. We had a very good relationship for 99.9% of the thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man.
Good.
Unfortunately, I wish he would have had the stamina, maybe courage, maybe both, to go further, because we have to have honest elections in our country. And if we're afraid to challenge an election, we're in big trouble. You know, they say if you they've challenged.
John Rabbit says the USA has the best logistics, but even they can only handle 400 to 500 miles of penetration and still keep troops supplied. That's what she said.
Elections, the Democrats. Look at Maxine Waters. How dare that? You know, they've challenged Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
Almost all of the Democrats challenge.
Yeah.
But when we challenge, they say he's a threat to democracy.
Yeah.
These are con artists, and they're very bad for our country.
Yeah.
So I'm going to weed them out. We're going to weed them out. I'll do it in honor of you.
Okay. So tell me this. So tell me this situation. Okay. Barron is 18. He's handsome. He's tall.
Yeah.
He's rich.
He's got the whole ball.
He's unleashed in New York City. Are you sure you want to reverse Roe v. Wade now? I mean, maybe give him a few years, you know.
Well, you know, it's up to the states now. It's up to the states because I believe in exceptions and all of the different things.
You've been vocal about that.
I've been very.
Would you try to influence?
I mean, I think a lot of people agree with me.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, very strong, very, very tough.
If I didn't have trolls, I would start to question whether I'm actually getting my message out. They are a reminder that, like, hey, people care. It's a good thing.
And Republicans were going to lose a lot of elections having to do with a lot of other things, too, because there are many issues. We have the border, we have this, we have wars, we have everything.
Yeah.
And Roe v. Wade was always about getting it back to the states.
Yeah.
And then people started talking about the number of weeks and this, that, all these. But nobody wanted, no legal scholar, no Democrat, no Republican, liberal, conservative. Nobody wanted it in the federal government. It shouldn't be in the federal government. And the legal scholars, it was abhorrent. They didn't want it. And they didn't want it in the federal government.
Now,
and it was in the federal government.
I know you said, sorry.
What we did is, we moved it back to the states and a vote of the people. And now they're voting. Ohio voted a very liberal, Ohio, I won Ohio by a lot, but they voted and it's up to them.
Yeah.
Okay. I do believe in exceptions, life of the mother, rape, and incest.
Right.
If your daughter's raped by somebody.
I appreciate how they muted that out.
Let's say he's from a prison someplace and he's killed people and everything else. Yeah, absolutely. You have to be able to do.
Yeah.
There are some people, and I think that group is smaller and smaller when they realize what's going on. But there are some people that under no circumstances can you do it. I don't happen to agree. Ronald Reagan didn't agree. But what has happened is it's now back in the states where it belongs. And the states are moving along and they're approving things.
So
some conservative and some liberal.
There's some places. My wife and I had a baby through IVF, and you've been very supportive of IVF.
I was totally.
I really love that. You said that you guys were going to pay for it,
beginning.
and I would love to get the refund or whatever once that happens from the government.
But I actually said we want babies in our country.
And we do.
Yeah.
But
so
there are some people using that reversal of Roe v. Wade to kind of attack the legality of IVF. And to me, it's like, that's heartbreaking.
These are crooked politicians. These are politicians. Now, I'll give you an example. I came out when it first came up, and it started in Alabama where a judge ruled that you couldn't do IVF, and all clinics all over Alabama was going to shut down. We're going to be shut down. And I wasn't an expert on IVF, but I have common sense. We're the party of common sense.
Yeah.
And some women called me, and actually Katie Britt called me, the senator from Alabama, who's really a young, good politician, smart, great husband, who was a football player, great family. She called me up. She said, "Sir, women have come to me and almost attacked me, and they're my best friends, that the judge shut down IVF." He's a very, conservative judge. And he shut down IVF. And I said, "Let's explain it. Tell me." And she told me. I said, "No, it's a great thing. It's helping women have babies." And she didn't know her friends were all going through IVF.
It's so much more common than people realize.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about it. Let's say somebody's doing, I understand. I never had big discussions. I know this. If you're a woman and you're not going to be telling Katie Britt, and you're not going to be telling your friends, "Hey, I'm going through IVF."
Yeah.
Some will and some won't.
Yeah.
But she didn't know anything about her friends, and they were good friends of hers. She said, "They're literally attacking me."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, what is it?" After about 5 minutes, I'm a quick study. I said, "That's a great thing." And I came out within 45 minutes of the decision. I came out strongly in favor on behalf of the Republican Party.
Sure.
And I have calls from senators saying, "Thank you, sir. You saved my political career."
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they might have come out,
Save their family too.
But here's what does happen, which is really, we get calls that just the other day, that this total lying politician that's running, that ruined San Francisco. She destroyed San Francisco with her very liberal policies. And she destroyed the state of
Newsom?
No, it's her. But Gavin Newsom, I call him Gavin Newscum. Gavin Newscum.
That's a good one.
No,
That's
he's
good.
a terrible. He's a
That
terrible.
was Pume.
Yeah,
No,
That was Pume.
he doesn't like that, but he is
Good hair though.
Gavin. He probably does. Yeah.
Yeah, he is
I
nice.
don't know. You
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so good. I don't know.
Pretty good. Well, something.
Don't take your hat off. Because you never know. Sometimes the guy will take his hat off. He has good hair. I say, "Boy, you up." Right? And usually it's bald. No, 95% of that. There's always a reason. Usually a reason. That's okay too. But what I do, I get a call and they say that Kamala, said that I'm against IVF, okay, that I'm against it. They know it's untrue. But all of the lies,
Positioning in a
so
way.
many different things. The bloodbath, that was about the auto industry, but the word is a tough word. China's going to take all our
It's
auto
so
business
harsh.
if we go all electric and
It's
all
so
this stuff.
harsh.
And the head of the union, I said, is a fool. He sold the union down. I'm doing great with it. You notice where the Teamsters like me and
That was
they all like
coming.
me. The workers like me because I'm going to.
It seems to be that way.
Yeah, it seems to be. Even unions that have never been with a Republican before are endorsing me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. The Teamsters voted 61% in favor of Trump. Think of that. I'll tell you, the FBI would be in favor. Almost everybody. I think almost everybody would be in favor.
Yeah.
But they lie and they say, and they know it's a lie. Charlottesville. The Charlottesville statement was.
No, he's talking about all these people who are endorsing him. Kamala's got plenty of people endorsing her too. You know, she's got Putin, Nick Fuentes, a very broad base there. Very broad base. The IRS, Iran. Lots of folks are endorsing. He's so proud of his endorsements. Do you have Iran? No. Do you have the IRS supporting you? No. She's got a very broad base there. Very broad base. It's Nick Fuentes and Taylor Swift. Can't beat that combo. ISIS really big. ISIS big fan. ISIS big fan. The Cheneys. Yes, that's right. The Cheneys.
It's perfect if they take the next sentence that I gave. I made a statement on it. It was a perfect statement. And if you take, but they never take the next sentence, they cut it off.
And then there's no
even the other one,
accountability.
peacefully and patriotically. In my speech,
Yeah.
I talked about peacefully and patriotically. They never show that. They never talk about it. To show you how dishonest they are, the J6 committee, I call it the unselect, they call it the select committee. I call it the unselect committee of political hacks and thugs. They never talk about my speech because it was a good speech. It was a patriotic speech.
Are you numb to this now, or
no? I
does
never
it
get
still
numb
bother
to it. No,
you?
it bothers me. I'll tell you what bothers me. Kamala the other day said he is against IVF, and everybody knows that that's false.
Yeah.
When I came out, people were a little surprised actually because in theory, but I came out strongly in favor of IVF. She has an add-on that I'm against IVF. She knows it's untrue. She has an add-on that bloodbath. Bloodbath means like blood, and that's not what I was talking about. The automobile industry. It's going to be a bloodbath in the automobile. We're going to lose all our business.
Yeah,
that's what's referring to. When they do things, and they do a lot, but I always refer them back to the simplicity of McDonald's. She lied about McDonald's. She lied about many things, and she's a liar. There should be some kind of a rule. When they know it's a lie, you can't do a commercial on it. But this is a thing that's going to end in 29 days, so they can say what they want. I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But and frankly, she's given me so much ammunition. I don't really have to. I mean, she's a radical left lunatic who will destroy our nation. Other than that. But she'll destroy our nation. So when you take a look at it,
qualities other than that,
and
destroying
I
our
think
country.
that just getting back to your original thought on the abortion, having it back in the states, the people are now voting on it, and we're going to put an end to a 52-year ordeal. This has been going on for 52 years.
Yeah,
it's back with the states, and it's a vote of the people.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody wanted it to be. And I think that issue is largely quelled because of that.
You've said like Arizona, you think went a little bit too far. If you feel a state goes a little bit too far, will you use a little influence and say, hey, maybe Brennan says we can make exceptions?
I would. Oh, no, I won't back it. I won't back it. I think
I think that's important for moderates to hear. That's why I want to give you that opportunity to say that.
No, some states say no wait. But they're all changing because the people in the state won't stand for that. There are some states that say, under no circumstances, you have a daughter and she's raped by the worst, most violent criminal in the country, and you cannot get, her You cannot take
She has
her
to live with
and
that for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she got to live with this. And, you know, the father is a monster. He's from an insane asylum because he killed 50 people.
Yeah.
And you're going to have that baby.
Yeah.
And I can't
You have
believe.
to have empathy for that.
No,
You
I
have
can't
to. Yeah.
believe that people are forced to do that.
Yes.
And you have a tiny, you know, right now,
Well, and just to push back on that, why not just give him plan B? Like, you know, if it's really like that type of scenario there, just give him plan B. So they don't conceive. I mean, I guess if they're held in captivity for weeks, you know, then you might have some sort of question, but why not just plan B?
It used to be a much bigger segment.
Yeah.
No, I think I've done a good job in a lot of ways because I've convinced people that you just can't do that.
No, that's important.
It's always been complex. It's always been tough, but we've come a long way with that issue. But just in a nutshell, bringing it back to the states and giving a vote of the people is where they wanted it 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And then they got a little complex. They talked about the length and, you know,
What did I miss?
With protection.
Yeah.
What did I miss? What did I miss? What do you think I missed? Tell me what you think I missed. I want to hear. It's possible I missed the point. What point do you think I missed?
With protections for women and
to me, you
certain
have to.
genders.
Ronald Reagan a long time ago was with the same 3 protections.
Yeah.
He said he wanted, you know, for incest and the life of the mother. And that was.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Every once in a while, I'll throw a super chat at people I like. I like Barris. I like Barnes. And I had a thought about what they were talking about. So, yeah, they're good people. People's pundit. I want to get him back on here. I think he's too busy before the election to get him on. I tried getting him on here like a month ago. He's tough to get a hold of. I had him on here years ago.
Long time ago.
Okay, you have a very busy day. Before you go, what would you like your legacy to be, and what do you think it will be?
So,
and thank you very much for taking
2
the time.
very different questions, actually, I think. But
what would you like it to be?
I took over a country that was very troubled. This country was.
Barris is also known as the People's Pundit. Richard Barris. He makes his own polls. He's a pollster who does a pretty good job. He's got his own little secret sauce for how to actually glean from the information he gathers to come up with his percentages in ways that are designed to be more accurate than most pollsters. So, and Robert Barnes appears on at least once a week on a show called What Are the Odds with him. The People's Pundit. Good guy. Good people.
Was broken up and tremendous dissension. And Barack Obama started it. And if you take a look, it was very, very badly broken. And I think now with Biden, you know, let's forget her for a second, but with Biden and her, part of it, big part of it,
Yeah,
with Biden,
that was the point that went over my head.
tremendous dissension. The country is a broken up mess. And it's broken in a lot of ways. But what I would like my legacy to be is the same as the term MAGA, Make America Great Again. I'm going to make this country great again. It's not a great country right now. It's loaded
It's
up.
always a great country.
It's a great country.
See, that's
It's
why I
always a
disagree.
great country.
Okay, but I say it has the potential, and it was a great country. I think now there's so much hatred and there's so much dissension. I think when you have people that can't walk down Fifth Avenue, when you have people that can't walk down a street, it ceases to be.
We can always be better. We can always be better.
Yeah, but you can't blindfold yourself to
No,
say.
I'm honest
you know,
about it. But to me, I'm really proud of America because I think that I think I can be the best version of myself here. You know, I think that Donald Trump can only happen in America. Your life, what has happened to you, this is an American story. Yeah. My mom's life is an American story. Like my mom's from Scotland. She comes here and has all the success. And she's so grateful of what America is. That doesn't mean that we can't make it better. I like the idea of making it better every single time, fixing these things when there's leaks in the ship. But the idea of America and becoming the greatest version of yourself is something I'll always be proud of.
So I understand what you're saying. When I was president, We had no wars in the.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. I can't go along with what you're saying there. You need to be able to call out and say things have gotten worse from where they were. You might say we can strive to be better, but things have gotten worse, and to recognize that things have devolved in this country is an important aspect towards remedying the problems. So I'm not sure where his point is.
The whole world. Because of me. I stopped a lot of wars from happening.
That makes me proud.
Right. But it's just not happening now. Right now, people are dying in Ukraine because we had an incompetent president. If we had a president that knew what the hell he was doing, Ukraine would have never happened. Israel would have never happened. All those people that are dying on both sides, that would have never happened. Afghanistan, people falling off airplanes from think of that, from 3,500 feet above the ground, 3 times the height of the Empire State Building, off the side of the airplane.
With that mustache, there's a very strong Freddie Mercury vibe.
Stuff would have never happened.
Very strong
Inflation would have never happened because that was caused by energy and the stupid energy. So, look, we love our country, and it's had moments of greatness, but I think it's a declining. It's so sad what's happened. We're a nation in decline. And we can't let it be declined. I'll give you an example. We're going to lose our monetary base very soon because, countries are going off the dollar. I'm going to get them back on the dollar. I'm going to say, you got to go back on you're not going to do any business with, you got to do it. But I do think this, where I really agree with you, we have tremendous potential. And I say it, make America great again. And I just want to, I would like to have it. I used to have something, I was going to use it and I didn't use it because the country started to do badly. CAG, not MAGA, CAG. I never liked the word CAG, but it was Keep America Great. You like that better.
I like this.
But see, I couldn't use it because we had so many problems. So I want to say,
it also sounds like that other word.
It doesn't work as well. Look, there's never going to be another MAGA. I don't know. I came up with a phrase that just turned out to be MAGA. No, it's the greatest movement, political movement in the history of our country. And these are people that really love our country and they want it to be great. And we're going to make it great again. That was what I would like to do, is make this country so great, better than what you're even thinking. And you are. I mean, I love your attitude because I think that's the way you should be.
I think that's
sorry. There's one thing I want to give you, a rumor I'd like to give you a chance to dispel. And then one question, if you have time, I'd like to ask selfishly. Rumor, the far left, I think, says this thing that, if Donald Trump wins, he's never going to cede power. Then they have some clip of you saying, just vote for me one time, you won't have to vote again. I don't believe this is true. I want to give you a chance to publicly say that's nonsense, just so you can publicly speak to any moderates out there.
So what I said, Christians tend to vote at a very low percentage for some reason. And so do gun owners. Would you believe it? The NRA, gun owners tend not to vote. Maybe it's a rebellious thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
I said, look, our country's in big trouble, really big trouble with the border, with all the problems. We can solve the problem. But vote this one time. After that, we're not going to need it to. This is the most important election in the history of our country. Vote for this most important election. And then if you don't want to vote, we're going to have elections, but you don't have to vote because it's going to go along swimmingly.
That's how I interpreted it.
That's how they interpreted it too.
They know what
you got to vote this time because we can't wait 4 years. Because you know what? In another 4 years, like we've just had with this clown that's a president, that's just a clown, a foolish man. Don't forget, he was a stupid man 25 years ago. He was never a smart man. He's run many times. Isn't it amazing? He's run many times, and he gets it when he's in serious decline. Okay. But anyway, so everybody knows that.
Okay.
And that's what I meant by it.
Yeah.
It means we got to fix it.
Yeah.
And then it's going to work
I
beautifully.
agree.
It's going to run
That
beautifully.
was a great job by Zing there to give him an opportunity to explain away that way that they love twisting his words. It was a really good call on his part.
Elections every 2 years and every 4 years, it's going to be great.
I just want to give you a chance to say that to
what was your second
and if I could ask one question. Everybody I speak to, every race, creed, whatever, they don't just like you, they love you. And I talk to people on both sides about your policies, and a lot of people that like your policies. The China tariff that's still in place right now is an example of policy that people love. I think sometimes what we love about you as comedians is you shoot from the hip. but then that gets twisted into this rhetoric that adds gasoline onto everything. So the one thing I would like, as I think a moderate person, is maybe if you get elected, would you be a little bit more mindful of how powerful your words are for better and for worse?
I will, and I'm going to think of you every time.
Let's go. I might actually vote.
No, it's true. I mean, I understand that. Sometimes they say, "Oh, could you be a little bit more?" But you're doing a lot of things, and you're solving a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I stopped wars that nobody will ever know about. They won't write about, but countries that were fighting each other and didn't affect us much, but they did business with us. I called up 2 countries that have fought for thousands of years, killing each other for years, and I said, "You guys are at it again." I heard it was going to start up. I stopped it when I first came in, and I said, "Listen, here's the story. If you go to war with each other, I can give you the details, but I don't even want to bother because it's nice now." I said, "You're not going to do any more business with the United States. I'm going to cut you off 100%. And if you do get through, I'm going to charge you 200% tariffs. You won't be able to survive."
See, capitalist answers. Capitalist answers. Hit him in the pocketbook, or you can use the pocketbook as a carrot or as a stick. That's how you do it. Capitalist answers. This is why a businessman, it's a pretty good call for politics. Capitalist answers.
So work it out. Work it out. You know, it was a country that split, and they've been fighting for years. The two halves, I think, like thousands. I get a call, and I forget about it. But I had a rough call with them. And I said, "I'm going to charge you tariffs, and you're going to be cut off. No more business. And if they don't have the United States, it's a problem."
Yeah.
And we have to keep it that way. We have to keep our country strong so we can do this. I mean, if our country is weak, we don't have that. You know, if we keep getting weaker and weaker, which is happening, we're not going to let that happen. So I get a call 2 days later. "Sir, we've worked it all out. Thank you very much." And I go about my business. I saved thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives. They've been killing each other for years, for centuries. And I saved thousands of lives. And nobody writes about it. Many people don't even know that's the reason, you know, things are good. And I had it out with them. I said, "You guys are crazy. You do that, no more doing business with the United States. You're cut off 100%. You're dead. You're not going to do 10 cents worth of business." And I even said the tariff thing, but the first was actually even more powerful. And that's it. I forget about it. I go about doing my business. 2 days later, I said, "Congratulations." So what? On what? So-and-so and so-and-so. They're not going to have a war. They made peace. I've done so many things like that. And none of them
hit the news cycle.
Most of them aren't.
None of them are noticed.
No, most of them aren't really known. You know, I've made countries do things for us because they were treating us unfairly. And I've gotten things for our country that I really think nobody else could have done. But I enjoy doing it for our country. And you know, just to get back to where you originally started, I want to make America great again. I want to make it so great that people won't question it, so that people can say what you just said, that, no, it's great. I don't want to have a question. Why should I or anybody else say, no, it's not great anymore? I don't want to be in that position. I want to make it so that when you ask a question like that, we can say, well, it's a great, great country. We love our country, but we can do a couple of little things.
I think we need that.
I'll put that in we want to put that in our basket.
I love that. And well, first of all, thank you so much.
This is an honor.
I would be remiss to not even bring this up. You've said that you want to have peace in these places, not just Russia and Ukraine. It's obviously the Middle East. I know that is a very tough task. I don't think maybe you get enough credit for what you accomplished and your administration accomplished with the Abraham Accords.
The Abraham Accords, and they did nothing. Again, Iran was willing to do a deal. I would have had a deal with Iran within 7 days after the election. I actually said, let's delay it till after the election because I was sure we were going to win the election. But things happened. You know, COVID happened.
Of course, there's a lot of things going on.
It was a mess.
But still, I think it's something that a diplomacy out in that region that hasn't existed prior. Is that something I would imagine that would be at the forefront of this next administration?
You know, there are great philosophers that said the world will end in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. You've heard that expression. They said the world will end someday in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. Okay.
Well, listen, thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Guys,
much, Jeff.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Jeff.
that was awesome.
That was a phenomenal interview. Because it wasn't even really an interview; it was more like a conversation. That was amazing. Okay, so I will be back here, God willing, tomorrow evening. Got another show tomorrow evening, and then I'm not going to be here Wednesday, Thursday. But I now have slated up there that I am going to be doing the Fox Kamala interview on Saturday night. I will not watch. I'll give you my own fresh live reaction to it. I won't watch clips. I won't watch anything. I'm just going to start my show up probably like around 11 p.m. Saturday night, and we will, I'll give you my impressions. I'm watching it for the first time. So anyway, I thank you all for joining me. I hope you'll be back here tomorrow evening. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that other good stuff here. Check out goodlogic.locals.com. Maybe you can support over there, join up, a little added content over there. Had a stream today where I was talking about the Barack Obama losing his luster and in the black community, which is something that frankly I didn't know if we would ever see that. But he definitely was losing his luster. You can check that out over at Locals, goodlogic.locals.com. Tomorrow I'm going to try to do another Locals stream because I feel like I'm missing out on time this week. So I'm going to try to do another local stream where I will talk about why it is that Congress has no capacity, no ability, and will do nothing to stand in the way of Trump taking away a Trump election victory. So why you don't have to worry about it. And this lawyer who got up there on Glenn Beck today and started making claims to that effect is, in my opinion, cuckoo. Maybe not on all things. Maybe he's a great lawyer on other things, but on this one, it's ridiculous. His take was just ridiculous. And I'll walk you through that tomorrow on Locals. That's my show for tonight. The word CAG sounds like, to be clear, is POG. Okay? I didn't really... I assume CAG was... The problem with CAG is it rhymes with other words which are derogatory, which are considered slurs. You can do the math yourself. It's not bag. It's not dag. So maybe that's why. But yeah. Anyway, you know the deal. You might get hungry and think to yourself, man, I'm so hungry. I'm just going to have like a little. Don't put any lab meat in your mouth. And most importantly, don't eat the bugs. Landing my plane quickly because I'm feeling kind of tired. So I say to you all, have a good night. And as always, Godspeed.